This is The Gorge. This is a podcast where my friend Sara and I gorge ourselves on overanalyzing a game or game-related topic. This week we're gorging ourselves on Tales of Vesperia for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3.
But only in Japan. Yeah, I'm still fucking bitter about it. Leave me alone.
So I will say one thing right off the bat. The two of us are only going to be talking about events that take place in the Xbox 360 version.
Because God has abandoned the United States of America.
Because it's only until this coming weekend, actually, that I finally decided to break down, and I found a really cheap 3.55 PS3 on Amazon. And I'm going to order that so that I can play Tales of Vesperia PS3.
I have it. You know this, but for the folks at home, I have it. I don't have a 3.55 PS3. I just play it as best I can with the translation guide that came out last year. Last year?
Yes.
And it's not fun. I don't speak a lick of Japanese, nor do I read it at all. And when you buy the game in Japanese, you think in your head, I can do this. It's just a translation guide. I'm a smart girl.
You'll just be looking at a document every so often, looking down at your computer. It's not a big deal.
I speak French. Well, I used to speak it semi-fluently, but I speak it, competently now. I know, foreign languages. I can handle this. I've navigated French textbooks and stuff like that before in my life. No, Tales of Vesperia is, aggressively in Japanese. Everything.
You don't realize how many menus are in that game until you're trying to play it in a different language. For a while, I used to think, you know what? I know Kingdom Hearts pretty well. Mm-hmm. I'll bet I could play the Final Mix versions. I bet I could import them and play them. I know the menus of this game pretty well.
No, you don't.
I watched a gameplay video of it. I don't know the menus.
No. Because I did not realize how much words. How many words? There's a lot of words in Vesperia. Because you don't think of things like the really small important things, like the descriptions for skills or the names of skills at all. There's descriptions for weapons. Yes and no. I don't know what yes and no look like in kanji, turns out. The game is aggressively Japanese, which is to be expected because it was made for Japanese people, and I'm super, super white. So, unfortunately, I just kind of struggle through it. I'm going to live vicariously through you once you get the translation patch going.
Now, I wanna point out one thing, because here at the Gorge, we would never advocate the cool crime of piracy.
Never.
So when I say I'm ordering a 3.55 PS3, I'm doing it for the Japanese translation that comes in the game. The totally legal development team that programmed that in, so it's very handy to use.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So as it turns out, when you put a Vesperia disc in your PS3, it magically translates to English.
What?
Through totally legal means.
Through completely legal means that would by no means get anybody calling you going, what are you doing? Yeah, no, it's cool. Don't look. Hey, don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
So we'll just talk about the beta version of Tales of Vesperia.
Yeah, no lie. As a heads up, I guess, because we were talking about this earlier in the week, we are trying a slightly different formula or format of the Gorge, where the first 15 to 20 minutes of the podcast is going to be completely spoiler-free, where we basically it's not exactly review mode, but it's just kind of hitting on the high points.
The mechanics and the visuals and stuff like that aren't plot related, and then after that we'll go into our standard, for Tales games at least, our standard character breakdown of each party member and etc.
Spoiler central, basically.
Yeah, totally.
But this time we're going to try and do something where we don't spoil the entire plot of, Tales of the Abyss. For people
within the first 5 minutes of the game, of the podcast.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't help myself. I'm just really, really enthusiastic about these games, and especially Tales of Vesperia, despite it being the one I've played the least.
So, right off the bat, I want to, say my personal experience with this game was interesting because, this is the second Tales game I ever played. And so I played Symphonia at my friend Dave's request, and I borrowed his copy of the game, and I played it.
Right.
And that was and then years passed.
Right.
And I'm at the mall, and I go to a GameStop, and I say, Tales of Vesperia. Well, you know what? I liked Symphonia a lot. I didn't even know this was a series. I'll pick this up, I'll give this one a shot. And I put it in, and I got to the first, scene of Yuri sitting in the windowsill, and I just went, because this game is gorgeous.
Oh, man, is it ever. I think it has the best design aesthetic, other than Exilia, but you're going to hear that a lot when we talk about Tales games for me, because I think Exilia is the best in the series. Other than Exilia, I personally think Tales of Vesperia has the best design aesthetic in the entire franchise.
Just the cell shading, the lighting, the colors are just so bright and vivid and beautiful.
And it's literal design sense. The world design is very fantastical and yet makes sense. The character designs are actually very practical. Even Judith and her battle bikini. I mean, they're still they're practical, they're fun, they're easily identifiable, you're never going to get anybody mixed up with somebody else, and they're just they pop, they have very bright colors, everybody has a very set color scheme, so that you can always differentiate. It's great.
It's the first Tales game, I think actually, it's the first because Xillia, but it's the first Tales game in the series that we've done where I like every single party member's design.
Yeah, I think every single party member's design is incredibly solid. There's really
I'm not a fan of Luke's design, his standard design, because of the stupid belly shirt. I'm not a fan of Rain's poncho.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of poor design decisions in the earlier games. And we didn't even... Vesperia's... there's a reason Yuri's costume is the cameo costume for every game.
It's because it looks really cool.
It's really, really good, turns out. That's why. It's so... I could probably write a novel about why Yuri Lowell's costume is so good, but, the breakdown of it is that it's, super practical and, but still really fantastical because it has, the stomach belt. It's very... what's the word I'm looking for? Non-conventional, because it's not your standard fantasy.
Well, he wears dark colors.
Yeah, he wears dark colors.
For a protagonist.
And it doesn't look like your standard fantasy kind of high fantasy, Western fantasy costume. It's still very Japanese with the obi and things like that, but it's never, explicitly Japanese. It's very kind of universal in its way. And it's incredibly practical. The more you look at it, it's an adventure outfit. There's no, little dangling parts that could get caught on anything. There's no... I mean, it's all very form-fitting, but still looks comfortable. It's a great costume. Oh my god.
It's very simplistic as well, but it also has that slight, that swirling pattern on the chest.
Yeah.
It's just that slight little added, thing that just makes it pop that much better.
Oh, absolutely. It's just a very cool, solid design. And the whole cast is like that.
Yeah, even I'm not a super big fan of it, but Estelle's standard costume looks great for what her character is, and it's what you would expect a character like her to wear.
Yeah, because it looks
and
like
it fits
flower.
It fits her personality. It fits her hair color and everything. It's it syncs up so perfectly.
I love her animation where she sits down and the whole dress just kind of poofs out around her like a flower. It's so Estelle because her character is kind of in the OP and the scene in Halor. Her character is kind of rooted around flowers, so it works really well to have the dress have these very defined petal shapes that literally blossom out whenever she sits down. It's incredible.
It's so good.
Who's the designer for?
Oh, I don't actually know.
I know all the designers' names. There's Inamata, Okadera. There's one more. Hold on, I'm gonna get it.
Okay.
Shit. Maybe
so
I'm not.
While you're looking that up, I just want to say one thing that I'd mentioned this to you like Vesperia really feels like Aesthetic the game.
It really does. I can't remember the name. I can't think of the damn designer's name right now.
Not only the character designs, and not even just
Kasuke
the main characters.
Fujishima!
Okay.
Sorry.
So your audio just flew into the red.
Sorry. That took me a second. But yeah, no, Aesthetic the game. Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, it's not only do the characters designs, like the standard character, like main characters, the villains and all them look great. Mm-hmm. Even the NPCs, the generic outfits and stuff look very fitting for the world. They look very practical, and they're still bright and colorful and fun. The armor designs that Flynn wears, the armor that the knights wear, all are very distinct and popping. The geography and the architecture of the world, you see different like aesthetics based on which country you're in. Mm-hmm. They're not all like the same copy pasted buildings. They all have their own kind of flair to them. The music is probably the best it's ever been.
Oh, absolutely.
In Vesperia.
Oh man, in Vesperia, Vesperia has one of the strongest soundtracks in the series. I think as everything I've heard of Zesteria's soundtrack is probably the only thing that tops it, but that's because Goshinai is a god among men. I didn't listen to the Legendia soundtrack, but he's the one who's responsible for that, so, you know. But otherwise, I mean, the soundtrack in Vesperia, Fury Sparks is just like the... Oh, yeah, you can just fight. You can fight a whole army by yourself to Fury Sparks, you know what I mean?
That intro with the synth drum line at the very beginning, and then it kicks into the Power Rangers theme. You're just like, yes.
Oh, you feel like the coolest person ever listening to Fury Sparks. Like that is the best. I'd say that's the best.
And for a while, for years, Dawngrest was my ringtone.
Oh man, the Dawngrest theme is so good. Dawngrest itself is just God, is Dawngrest not a treat to just look at? You know what I mean?
Oh
God,
man,
you can just wander around in there all day.
Yeah, like when I first got to that city, I'm just like, oh yeah,
because you get there and like they set up that shot so flawlessly when you first walk into Dawngrest and you're going across the bridge and you can see the whole city skyline because it's on the water, so it curves along the water and you can see all of the city skyline and the big chain that makes up its barrier blastia. Is phenomenal. It's incredible. You see it.
So cool, man. This game.
Oh, it's so
fantasy.
Is just
rock solid with its aesthetic. And like this is really small, but the menu sound effects.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Are so good.
They're so like I can't even describe them. The bleepiness is so good. You know?
The bleeping, the like bouncing kind of like. I don't even know how to describe the sound effects, but like it's so weird to think of that. But like when you first navigate the menus, it's so distinctive and memorable. It and Kingdom Hearts are like the only two games I can think of where like I remember the menu sounds.
Ace Attorney, I probably have dreams.
Oh yeah, Ace Attorney too. Yeah,
I have dreams about Ace Attorney's menu sounds, but that's another podcast.
Yeah.
I think we were talking the other night. I think Vesperia is probably the best. I know we said in the Symphonia's cast that Symphonia is the ideal starter Tales game. I take it back. Vesperia is the ideal starter Tales game. Because Vesperia is... We'll get into the plot in a minute. Vesperia's plot, compared to the rest of the franchise, is actually exceedingly simple. There's a few very minor twists. For the most part,
it's very straightforward. It's very, you'll figure out who the bad guys are real quick.
Yeah. It's rooted in... mostly in character development, less so in plot development. You kind of figure everything out pretty fast, and if you don't, the game spells it out for you. So, but because of that, because of its kind of simplistic story nature, and its really strong character writing to make up for it, it really is like the ideal starter Tales.
Not only that, it's also very readily available because it's on the Xbox,
right?
And like you can probably find copies of this. I don't even know the availability of the game itself, but I know that for the most part, a lot of people own a 360.
And it's on the Xbox Live network, so you can just
is it? Okay,
you can
cool.
just buy
then
the digital version these days.
Yeah.
So honestly, Vesperia is one of the easiest to get your hands on, especially because 360s are dirt cheap these days.
Yeah.
If I didn't, if I didn't want to play the PS3 version so badly, I'd go out and just buy a 360 and play Vesperia again. Jesus. But as it stands, I'm probably going to start saving up for my own 3.55 soon, because I do
You're totally legal method of playing.
Yeah, totally socially
legal.
acceptable. It's fine, guy. Listen.
It's fine.
Listen, Namdai, you motherfuckers. If you can't even release the goddamn... If you can't pay the people who made the fucking translation patch for you and be like, hey, we're going to take the script and all this coding you did for us, and we're going to slap it all together, put it on the PSN, and sell it for $30, then you deserve it, motherfuckers. It's so easy. Ugh.
Listen, again, not that we're advocating the cool crime of piracy.
I am.
But it reminds me of something I heard from another podcast where they're talking about like availability of programs and stuff, and that's like, if you don't make it readily available for me,
someone else
then
will.
I don't have a choice.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it baffles, because now we are at the point where literally someone else did all of the work for Namdai. The, of course, famously lazy as fuck Namdai. Somebody did all the effort for them, and they couldn't just, like, pay those assholes. I don't know how it works, but I assume there is some sort of way you can pay the people responsible for the translation patch and then slap it all together and put it on the PSN and call it Vesperia Remastered or something. I don't fucking know.
You can put that shit on PS4 and we will buy it.
I'll buy it 5 times. Trust me, because I love this game. It's so good.
It is a very good introduction game,
yes,
especially because it feels so fucking good to play.
It is.
Yuri is probably my second favorite character to play as.
Behind Lloyd?
And that's only because behind Jude.
Oh, that's right. We did say that, didn't we?
And that's only because with Jude I can pretend he's Ryu. If I straight up could not set up Jude with a Hadouken, Shoryuken, and Tatsumaki Senpukyaku,
right,
Yuri would be my favorite character to play as.
Right. I feel ya. Yuri has probably my favorite. Let me think about this. Give me a second. Yeah, Yuri has my favorite art list, or one of my favorite art lists in the franchise.
Yeah.
Because Dragon Swarm is Dragon Swarm, right?
Is the coolest fucking art ever.
Dragon Swarm, more like, I'm gonna spam this shit when I overdrive, and then you do
just twirl forever.
Literally twirl for like 100 years, or otherwise spam Destruction Field. Like, yeah, of course. Like, yeah, man.
Just ground pound forever.
Oh, absolutely. Not only are Yuri's arts cool, like, because they're so useful, Yuri's arts look cool because the motherfucker juggles his sword.
Yuri's a really cool dude,
Yuri's a cool dude.
We'll get into that more in depth, but like, dude, that motherfucker is just a really cool dude.
He's just cool. Everything about him oozes cool. I have hang-ups about that, but like, in general, I understand why Yuri is a lot of people's favorite protagonist.
Yeah.
Because Yuri Lowell is just like the essence of cool in a Tales protagonist. He's so different from all the other protagonists.
Yuri is like, and I kind of realized this, and I'll talk more about it in depth, but I'll get you started with, Yuri is if Kamina were in a game.
He is. I mean, he literally is. I mean, I feel like Yuri would do the infinite sword pull thing.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah.
Which, by the way, Yuri unsheaths his sword like a badass.
Oh, right? The most impractical. I mean, sometimes I think about it, I'm like, so, like, after fights, does he have to run after it? Like, after he's done the cool, like, throw the sheath away and grab the sword, does he have to go look for it? Like, wait, shit, I can't go anywhere, I gotta find my sheath. Like, if you didn't throw it away, asshole, we wouldn't be having this problem, but hey, it's cool.
So Yuri's just rock solid to play as, and like, you can get by playing as Carol and Raven as well.
Ugh.
But like,
Carol is so slow.
He is, and there's also the thing with, even if you don't like it, like with Symphonia, you can kind of get by with Zelos or Regal.
I got by really well with Zelos, yeah.
Yeah, Zelos and Regal, like, you can play as them. In Abyss, you can play as no one but Luke or Guy.
It's true.
In Vesperia, if Yuri's unavailable, you'll probably have Rapide, and if you don't have Rapide, you'll have Carol. If you don't have Carol, you'll have Raven. You can get by, and thankfully, Vesperia is like the only game that mercifully does not deprive you of Yuri very often.
It only really does it once, I think, the whole game, and it's at the ghost ship. But otherwise, no, the game is pretty good about that, fortunately.
About making sure you've got Yuri.
Yeah, because thank God, because I can't stand playing as any other character in that game. I can manage every other Tales game. I have a second, you know what I mean? Like a secondary, that like a fallback character. If I can't play as like Lloyd, I can play as Zelos, or I can play as Regal, and I can kind of do well enough with Sheena and Presea, but and then there's, there's Guy, of course, and Luke. Everybody in Exilia is playable. Literally everybody. But then here's Tales of Vesperia, which is, at least for me, completely unplayable if you're not playing as Yuri Lowell. Like, I can I did win in the Coliseum with Judith once, but that's literally because I just spammed Moonbeam, okay?
Yeah.
Because Moonbeam is kind of broken.
I won with Estelle by just spamming Holy Rain over and over and over again.
Yeah, because Moonbeam is kind of broken because it just teleports you right over the enemy, and then you can just like hit him a few times and do it again, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, it's easy. But otherwise,
so,
awful.
So Vesperia is probably the coolest game in the series.
Oh, the coolest,
not the best,
for sure.
But the coolest.
Absolutely the coolest game in the franchise. Unless Berseria is everything I hope it is. And then, sorry, Vesperia, you just got your ass kicked. Because everything I've seen of Berseria is like,
Berseria has pirates, so it's like...
Pirates!
It has that bonus point right off the bat.
It has pirates and berserkers and oh, Lord, help me, Jesus. But we're not talking about that right now.
Nope.
We're talking about Vesperia.
So at this point, we are going to talk heavily about spoilers for this game.
Yeah, so there's our endorsement. Shining endorsement of Tales of Vesperia. Go play it.
Yes. So if you haven't played it, go buy it now, and then pause the podcast, go buy it, play it.
For like 30 hours, and then come back.
Then start the podcast up again.
Yeah, cool. So, easy,
okay.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
So, let's
do our normal breakdown of the party members.
Cool.
We'll start off with Yuri, of course.
Yuri Lowell. Now that I've gotten now that I've been able to kind of like talk about how cool he is, I will say, I like Yuri a lot. I like Yuri a lot. Yuri is cool. Yuri is probably the most overrated protagonist in the franchise.
He gets a lot of play.
Like,
Yuri is Wolverine.
He's Wolverine. Holy shit.
You put him on the cover of all your boxes.
That's it.
And all
Yuri
your stuff.
Yuri is Wolverine. Oh my god.
Because you want to be like, look we got the cool guy in this one.
Oh my god, you're so right. He is.
Yuri's always on the crossover boxes.
Yeah, he's on Tales
Radiant
of the World.
Mythology or Versus or whatever.
Yeah, all of them. He's almost always a protagonist in all of the crossover games. Mm-hmm. I get it. He's cool. He's like the cool guy. But he's probably like rank-wise of just protagonists I like. He's like fourth in the list, frankly. Because, like, Mila is the best ever. Don't question me on this. Shut up. Mila is the best protagonist in the franchise. And then Lloyd, Luke, and Yuri. Yuri is cool. Yuri is kind of just cool.
Yeah.
Like,
one of Vesperia's kind of like overall like flaws, I guess, for lack of a better term, is that its characters don't go through the development that, say, Abyss or Symphonia's characters go through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Besides like Carol or Estelle or Rita, none of the characters really go through a whole lot of significant growth.
Yeah, it's a lot more subtle, and Tales games have never been known for their subtlety.
Yeah, they go through changes, but they don't go through growth.
Yeah, and Yuri is probably the most static of all the characters in the game. He just kind of stays cool, and then it feels like they forgot. Go ahead.
Like I said, Yuri is like Kamina. It feels like they pulled kind of like a reverse Final Fantasy 12, and the game should have followed around Carol rather than Yuri.
I feel like ideally the game would have followed Estelle more so than anybody.
Yeah, but like that kind of thing. Like if Yuri is Balthier, then Carol is Vaughn,
right?
And they follow, like that's who it would have followed around in this reverse situation. But it could have followed around Estelle as well. Yeah,
it's just kind of like, I don't know. But honestly, the biggest problem with Tales of Vesperia is that, development just kind of stops after Act 2. That's the real problem. Like, it's not so much that, the characters don't develop, but it kind of feels like they forgot to write the character development for Act 3, because it feels like you know, Act 1 is where everybody is at their kind of like the way they are at the beginning. Act 2 is where they're in the midst of their change and where they're kind of thinking over, like, well, I am this way, so now what? What do I go with myself? What do I do with myself? Where do I go from here? And Act 3 should be the culmination of the where do I go from here question. That's what we got in Abyss. They kind of forgot to answer that question in Vesperia.
Yeah, it kind of drops off the characters and more focuses on the world plot,
which isn't very good. So
yeah,
whoops.
It's kind of like if you played Persona 4 and stopped all of your S links at rank 9.
You got it. There you go. You were trying to say S ranks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Links at rank 9. And so, like, they still have development, but it's not quite there.
You're just, like, almost there. You need to finish kind of like the culmination of the character arc. And there really is no... I mean, the Raven's dramatic sacrifice and all that crap, that is not the culmination. That is the climax of the character development, but it's not the resolution.
Yeah.
And everybody's character developments in Vesperia don't really see that resolution. You kind of have hints of it, but it's not very clear cut.
You don't get the cutscene that shows that that now they are like this.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of, I don't know. I don't know a lot about Vesperia's development history. I don't know if they had a short timetable to work on. But it definitely feels kind of like they accidentally ended the game at Act 2 and then went, oh shit, we have to add a third part because the game's too short, you know?
Yeah, it feels like Act 3 kind of got written by a different team.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, it does.
So yeah, the development for the characters like Yuri is pretty weak. Now, that being said, Yuri's really cool and gets probably the most shocking moment in a Tales game, except for the destruction of Xarius.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Don't get me wrong. I don't think anything has ever shocked me as much playing a JRPG in my life as what Yuri does when he decides to go all crazy fucking vigilante. Because what I was texting you... Now, I didn't mention, Vesperia is my first Tales game. I was texting you while I was playing the game, and it got to that cutscene, and it was just like a long stream of what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? Because really, what the fuck?
In any other game, what you'd get is Yuri would go out and he'd confront Rago, and Rago would be like, well, you'll never stop me, and he'll summon a bunch of goons, and then you fight the goons, and you have a one-on-one battle with Rago. Right? Or you catch him in the act of something, and then you definitively lock that down.
Right.
What JRPGs don't do is have the main character cut a man down in cold blood and dump his body in the river. That don't happen in no Final Fantasy.
No Final Fantasy I've ever played had that fucking happen. Holy shit.
The villain does it.
Yeah,
but the hero doesn't do that.
No, your protagonist does not kill a man in cold blood and then dump his body in a river like a bag full of kittens. What the fuck?
Straight up, if you wear the black hat accessory, Yuri turns into a mafia.
He does. He turns into a mafioso. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it
got a message from the Don, and then he kills the guy and throws him in the river with his concrete shoes.
You're right. Hey, he does get a message from the Don. Hilarious. Just astounding. Absolutely staggering. So, like, that is, of course, why Yuri is everybody's favorite protagonist.
Yeah.
I mean, for a reason.
Because he's the one who fucking murdered the bad guy without any hesitation.
He's the one who got shit done. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wish more characters would be like that in games, period. Like, no, let's just get shit done. Like, let's not beat around the bush and try and do this, like, the nice way. Let's just get shit fucking done and get it done hard, you know? Just for that alone, like, my God, that's just staggering. Absolutely
super cool.
Tremendous to actually see it happen. And to do it twice. Now, second time we were saying slightly underwhelming.
Second time's a little bit weirder, a little bit more goofy.
Yeah.
But like, okay, so I am replaying the game right now to kind of refresh myself, and I did just get to that scene. It is maybe a bit more chilling than I remember, because it involves Q Moore, like, screaming as his mouth fills with sand and he sinks down, and his hand is still reaching up in desperation, and Yuri just watches him die.
Yeah, it's kind of horrifying.
So, I mean, it's a little goofy to be like, he falls into sand and dies.
Yeah, especially because I'm like, where did that come from? But
yeah. But then you watch it and you're like, oh, well, you know, in a different context, it's absolutely terrifying.
It's horrifying, actually.
and then Flynn walks up and he's like, we're going to need to talk, buddy, old pal of mine.
Oh, friend of mine. We need to have a conversation about the fact that you might be a little bit sociopathic.
Yuri, that kills people!
Gosh, hands on hip. Like, man. Okay, let's talk about that for a minute, Mr. Yuri. Let's kill people. Because really, that's kind of all anybody says to Yuri Lowell about the fact that he kind of, sort of, absolutely murdered 2 people in cold blood. The most he gets is kind of like a, Yuri, don't commit murder, finger shake. And then they kind of drop it. And I'm like, wait, no, roll it back, rewind it. We need to have a long conversation about the fact that Yuri Lowell literally killed 2 people in cold blood.
Now, in partial fairness, there was shit going on afterward.
There was extenuating circumstances, yes.
Some things happened that maybe that would get put on the back burner, but they really, and we were talking about it, it doesn't take much.
No.
You know? It wouldn't have taken much to fix that problem. It would have taken a bit more aggression on the side of the Knights or on the Empire to make them more of a credible threat to the party.
Right.
It would have involved maybe a scene where the rest of the party kind of confronts him, because the rest of the party never really learns about it. It's mostly just Flynn and Estelle who learn about it.
Yeah.
So like maybe a scene where Carol has to confront it would have been more of a resolution for that.
That would have been punchier because he is a kid, and that is kind of
Carol is a kid who idolizes Yuri and everything Yuri does, and not saying that, you know, it would have ultimately, you know, broken their friendship or anything like that, but like having Carol be the one to maybe confront that over a more level-headed person like Estelle would have been more of the resolution and the consequence that action deserved.
Yeah, it's a bit more, it has a bit more emotional resonance to kind of be face to face with the fact that, oh, you've let somebody down in a pretty major way by doing this. And then, meanwhile, I think it also would have actually kind of served Carol's development really well, too, to say, like, well, hey, you know, your heroes are always going to let you down, so you've got to kind of do it yourself in a way. Yeah,
you've got to forge your own path. You can't rely on your idols anymore.
Right, so, you know, like little missteps like that.
Yeah,
you know?
it wouldn't... the thing is, like, as it stands right now, the scene where Flynn and Estelle confront him are both really good, because you can see it test his friendship with Flynn in a very big way, to the point where Flynn almost fights him. Right then and there. He puts his hand on his sword. Like they're about to do it, and then they get interrupted. And then Estelle trying to process it is also really good. We just needed a little bit more.
Just push it a little bit more. It's kind of like the story of Vesperia's flaws, is that it's just, you could have just gone that little extra mile, and it would have been phenomenal. But as it stands, it's just a really good game, but it's not, it's not the best game.
Quite there.
If they had managed to push Vesperia to the limit kind of that the story was building up to, Vesperia would have easily been the best game in the franchise.
Yeah.
And
You know what? Maybe there is more in the PS3 version. I honestly don't, because Flynn is more prominent.
Yeah.
Maybe there's more.
I know.
I don't know.
Who knows? Because Namdai sure the fuck won't tell us.
I'll find out shortly.
You're gonna
and maybe I'll bring it up during our, you know, one of our Exilia podcasts or something, if I get to that point in that time. But like, you know, I don't know for sure. But as it stands right now, the version that we've played is both like it just needed just another cutscene, or a few more lines of dialogue, or another character being brought in on it.
Yeah, just more. Just a little bit.
Just something.
Just more, because Yuri is a cool character, and Yuri is a very unique protagonist for the franchise because of what he does. It's so unorthodox. for the series to have a character who is that willing to do something horrible in order to kind of create the most the mass amount of happiness on the for like at the cost of somebody being murdered.
And they say it, like the other characters say it a lot. Yuri's biggest flaw is that he's willing to throw away his own happiness. And like not willing, but like actively seems to prefer sacrificing his own chance at redemption or at happiness or security for the sake of others.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's such a...
And bless characters for actually considering that a flaw of him.
Oh, yeah,
and not being like, oh, it's so great of him that he's willing to do this. They're like, no, Yuri, you need to stop doing this because it's hurting you.
Right, exactly. And it's so, like I said, it's very unorthodox. And so, like, I understand, of course, that's why Yuri is everybody's favorite Tales protagonist. But
we don't want to turn him into lightning.
No, exactly. And I don't want... because the reasons he's... Here it is,
Sarah. You don't want to roll your eyes when you see Yuri.
No, I don't. I like Yuri. I really like Yuri as a character, but I really wish they had done more. The reasons that everybody thinks he's cool and he's their favorite are kind of the reasons I'm like, no, he's my fourth favorite, because of all of this stuff we just listed back behind us in the audio track. But I like Yuri. I think he has the coolest art set in the franchise. We just talked about how awesome his character design is. He has all the best lines because he's voiced by Troy Baker.
Do you know what this is? This game is Troy Baker's big debut too.
Yes, it is.
Which is really cool.
It's really bizarre, and now he doesn't do any anime bullshit at all. Troy Baker, how far you have fallen. I guess risen technically, but come on, dude, throw me a fucking bone here. He does still love Vesperia, though.
Yeah, this is the first time you know what? And that's the thing is, like, the great thing is, this happened to everyone playing this game. I know it did. Mm-hmm. You look at the box art and you say, oh, that's cool. They have a female protagonist. It happens to everyone. It happened to me. And his name is Yuri.
Yeah.
Which is a feminine sounding name a little bit.
Yeah.
And you pop the game in, and the little kid runs up and he's like, Yuri, it's terrible. And then you hear Troy Baker's, what is it? Just that deep voice, and it's just like a punch to the jaw. You're like, oh,
and then the funny thing is, because Troy Baker is such a good voice actor, it's kind of like he speaks, you go, oh, that's a deep voice, and then he talks more, and you're like, oh, this is the perfect voice for this character.
Yeah.
Pretty much almost instantly, you kind of fall immediately into the fact that Troy Baker's voice is the only voice for Yuri Lowell, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I am, despite the fact that Troy Baker does not do anime shit anymore, not really, I am super glad they managed to get him back to do the first strike. That was wonderful, because it wouldn't have been the same.
Funimation actually got Troy Baker and Sam Riegel because the fans would have rioted.
Oh, absolutely.
If they did not.
It wouldn't have been the same. You can't have Tales of Vesperia without Troy Baker and Sam Riegel playing these characters. They're so like, those voices are so fundamental because, for one, they speak the most in the game. And I mean, they're just, I don't know, Sam Riegel's Flynn voice is so, like,
it's a good contrast to Yuri's.
Yeah, and it's so
much more gentle. It's much lighter.
Noble. He does noble very well. I
mean, his name's Sam Riegel.
I know, right?
You would expect it.
Yeah, exactly. He just does noble so well, and Troy Baker does scumbag so well that they play off of each other in cutscenes really, really well. The confrontation when they finally run into each other again and Capua Noir is always hilarious. The fight in the alley where Flynn saves his ass and then they immediately start fighting each other and arguing is awesome.
I love it. So Yuri deserves a lot of the praise he gets. He doesn't deserve all the cameos he gets.
Oh God, please can we have... I'm so glad Vesperia has no Yuri costume at all. I did a little dance in my office when I saw that none of the cameo costumes for Vesperia were any of the usual. There's no Leon, there's no Yuri, there's no Mint. Fuck it, I'm calling it a victory.
You'd think Velvet would get it because she looks like Yuri.
She does. She literally looks like Yuri Lowell's love child with, Jude Mathis. But no, she gets Ruti, which she also looks a lot like. So hey, it works out. Yeah. But yeah, man. Yeah, it's
You want to talk about a breath of fresh air?
You mean
in Tales games up until this point?
You mean the sparkling sunshine of goodness that is Esteli Sidos Horizon?
Esteli Sidos Hirasane.
Hirasane?
I'm pretty sure it's Hirasane.
I can't say
I don't think she ever says it, though.
I can't fucking say that name. It's Estelle.
It's a tough one. Yeah, it's Estelle. So we've made it very clear
oh my God,
that we hate Colette
and Ion.
And that we hate Ion.
I hate Ion.
Estelle is the proper, correct way to write those character archetypes.
Exactly. Estelle is the correct permutation of the self-sacrificial, innocent, dressed in all white princess character. Done perfectly right, no matter, without a single... I cannot think of a single thing wrong with Estelle's character.
Not even, like, when we say that, like, I mean that in the sense that, like, even her flaws strongly serve to serve her character.
They make her human,
and her development. Yeah, they're not like criticisms. They're actually serve to mold her character even better. And I think the best thing about it is the way the rest of the party handles those flaws. Yeah. Like, with Colette and her apologizing, you get characters kind of, like, bemusedly brushing it off. You're like, stop apologizing so much, Colette. And then she goes, oh, I'm sorry, again.
Annoying.
The best two scenes, I think, for Estelle's character growth are just two simple lines of dialogue. Mm-hmm. One from Judith and one from Yuri.
Oh, yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
It's when Judith is just kind of very casually says something like, well, I didn't know our guild just served the princess's whims at random.
Yeah.
Because she's been going around, getting sidetracked by trying to save as many people as she can and getting wrapped up in trying to help people. And, even though they all acknowledge that it's a noble thing to do, they can't take on everything.
Right.
And all it takes is that one single line, and Estelle stops to contemplate it, and she kind of realizes what she's doing.
Right, exactly.
The second line is probably my favorite line in the entire game. And it's after they confront Pharaoh. Mm-hmm. And during that confrontation at some point, Estelle says that if it means saving the world, it's okay if she dies.
Right.
Or she's willing to sacrifice herself. After that cutscene, the party members kind of talk for a little bit. And then Yuri just goes, hey, it's okay if I have to die. I don't want to hear that ever again. Yeah,
it's like... Yeah, like that addressing of her flaws, and they are pretty major flaws, the fact that the game actually has the balls to address them and to really call them out and say, hey, these aren't healthy ways to think.
You and can do not in in a super like overt way, not in like a crazy like dramatic confrontation way. Just having her, basically her older brother and her older sister,
exactly,
be like, hey, don't say those kinds of things.
Don't be that way.
We know what you mean, but I don't. Just the fact that Yuri's response is, I don't want to hear that ever again.
Yeah,
is so great.
Yeah, it's a very, like you said, brotherly response. It's very human and very normal kind of response to that kind of thing. Is, I don't want to hear you say that about yourself because I care about you. I don't want you to think that you're just disposable for the sake of everybody else. Which is actually super interesting because, Yuri has at that point in the story viewed two people as disposable. Well, not at that point in the story.
Actually, you know what? Can we roll back to Yuri a bit? Because I want to address that actually, and I forgot to mention it.
Go for it.
One of the criticisms people have a lot is that at some point Yuri says, if a part's infected, cut it off so the rest can heal.
Right.
And then during the confrontation with Pharaoh says that exact same line. And then Yuri's like, I don't buy into that.
Right.
And what happens is people say, oh, Yuri's a hypocrite because of that. But what it is they're two different contexts.
Right.
And that's, what Yuri's saying is not that he doesn't buy the idea of cutting off the infected part. What he's saying is he doesn't buy that Estelle is an infected part.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And is needs to be disposed of. He doesn't buy that. He did believe that Rago and Cumore were infected and needed to be put down.
Exactly. Whether or not he's right is, maybe he is
debatable.
Right. But, maybe it's not really his choice to make either.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the whole point of...
I just want to address that real quick.
I feel it. That's actually an important thing. Because it kind of goes back to the way he sees Estelle, the way Estelle sees herself. And just the fact, Estelle is so... I don't know, she's just, like you said, she's a breath of fresh air from, pretty much 2 consecutive games in the main franchise, because they play Legendia. Legendia doesn't count. Nobody played Legendia.
Legendia exists as a soundtrack.
Yeah, pretty much. And some pretty animation, because the guys who did Samurai Champloo did it. But anyways, 2 consecutive games with this kind of same character archetype of the self-sacrificing, naive princess type, and both those characters being just so obnoxious and so completely, I don't care what anybody says to me, completely unlikable. And then here's Estelle, having all of the same character tropes, having a lot of the similar flaws, thinking she can save the whole world all on her own, thinking her life doesn't matter, all these same flaws that you see in Colette and you see in Ion, being handled in a much more mature and, like, human way. And the fact that she actually does confront them eventually and go, well, okay, maybe it's not quite that simple. It's not that she eventually says even... I mean, she understands, of course, that her life is valuable, but she also learns that nothing is ever as simple as just, well, if I die, this problem will be fixed. Well, no, it won't. Yeah. It's never that easy.
Yeah, she really goes... She probably gets more of the character growth
than anybody
more
else
than
in the
other
game.
Characters. Yeah, and it's what I really dig about Estelle and what separates her from the others, that she is the sheltered princess type, but she's very knowledgeable.
Yeah, she's very smart.
She will, like, the fact that she has that little quirk where she recites what she's read in books, like, to kind of explain things about, game mechanics or about, lore aspects or whatever.
Right.
It's really cool because you'd expect her to be like, oh, what's that? And have another character explain it to her because she's the sheltered princess.
And honestly, it's kind of funny. The one who actually doesn't know any of this shit is Yuri.
Yeah, Yuri learns a lot from Estelle and Carol.
Exactly, because Yuri's never left the capital, and it's part of his, again, his character flaw is that he's kind of sheltered himself from, harm. And so really, the person who doesn't know any of this stuff is the cool, badass main character. And it's the little kid and the innocent princess who are always constantly schooling him on the way the world works. It's just really interesting. It's really cool. It's a nice flip in the character dynamic. It's a nice kind of change in, like, the balance of power between these two characters. And I don't want to get into any kind of shipping garbage in the Gorge, but I have a hard time kind of buying into the romantic aspect between them when they really just seem so familial,
I totally
I
totally agree.
Yeah. Just because she just seems like his little sister in so many ways. Yeah,
the way they interact and talk seems much more of a familial bond or a friendship bond than any hint of romance.
Yeah, exactly.
Really,
and it's and because of that, at least to me, that is kind of what makes Vesperia such a breath of fresh air in so many ways. Is that there's
none of it. There's none of it in the game. Characters will flirt with each other, and Yuri will flirt with Judith, constantly. They'll go back and forth.
But there's no overt romance.
Even then there's nothing, like, distinct about it, and they just have really good chemistry with each other. You're free to do whatever you want, fangirls.
But it's just like, because again, the romance in Symphonia was so overt that you had romantic options. And, of course, the romance in Abyss was overt, because, I mean, he literally, Luke literally tells Tyr he loves her in the journal. So, and Tyr literally tells Luke she loves him. So that's very overt. And then we get to Vesperia, and it's just this cool story of these kind of damaged people going around trying to make the world the best as they can in their own incredibly flawed ways, which is a really interesting story concept, because it's not a bunch of assholes like Abyss. It's a bunch of very normal people who are trying to do the right thing and kind of just keep fucking up.
I think that's kind of why there's not as much overt character development, is that you kind of just hit it right there. Mm-hmm. They're very normal people.
Yeah.
They're normal people being pushed into extraordinary things.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at the cast of Abyss, and it's, here's a princess, here's a noble, here is a high-ranking mage, here is,
all this,
a bodyguard, here are all these people. Like,
the Pope's bodyguard.
Yeah, even some of the, even the higher class characters in Vesperia, like Raven or Rita doesn't have an official ranking.
Yeah. And
she's just the biggest, badassest mage in Aspio.
Yeah, exactly.
Raven is the second in command of the highest guild, in the world.
But he's really just kind of a drunk asshole.
Yeah, but, he doesn't act like it.
Right.
He doesn't get... he basically is just the Don's errand boy.
Yeah, exactly.
You kind of think about it.
And, I mean, Estelle is a princess, but the game actually makes it pretty obvious that her status as a princess is actually kind of useless.
Yeah, unlike Ion, who is nothing but his status as phone master.
Yeah.
Estelle, they go out of the way to show that Estelle being a princess means pretty much nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it never really serves her in a good way, ever.
They show her more as, a figurehead.
Yeah.
Than anything else, and it's shown how frustrating it is to her.
Yeah, exactly.
That she doesn't have that power.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's such a nice dynamic. There
are several times where she'll be like, as princess, I order you to stop doing this, and the villain will just be like, nah. It's so interesting. It's such a nice dynamic, and you're right that it does kind of explain why there isn't as much character development in the game, but at the same time, we want more character development.
Yeah, because it kind of makes the game lack a punchiness in the third act. I mean, the third act of Vesperia is really boring.
Yeah, there's not really much going on.
It's just really boring after the fact that, I mean, Act 1 and 2 are so good. And very well defined, and there's a lot going on, and then Act 3...
Act 3 feels like a DLC add-on.
Yeah, exactly. They just kind of forgot to write the rest of the game, and so they're like, well, let's just add some dungeons and a weird minigame, and then a final boss that makes no sense. Well,
you know what, since we are on Estelle, let's talk about that minigame that only happens once ever, and then never, ever again.
Like, what the fuck? Why did they... Do you think somebody just was like, hey, I coded this neat thing, let's stick it in Vesperia, and everybody was like, okay. Because we need to pad out Act 3, Because,
Tales games aren't really known for having their mini-games.
Yeah.
They
have mini-games, but not, plot-important mini-games. It's just dumb shit you can do on the side.
There's, a few scattered around, but, there are none that, when you do it, you're like, okay, well, this will be what we do to activate, this thing. Right. But you only do it once.
It's such a weird thing. It's just such a, I can't, it's just so random. It comes out of nowhere and then never appears again, and you're like, why? What purpose?
And you can't even do it again.
Yeah, and it's not even
if you
fun.
wanted to go back and do level 2 of it, you can't.
It's not
only
even
you
fun.
only do it once.
It's really slow, and it's not even hard. See, that's the worst part of all of it. Is that it's not just a pointless, weird minigame. It's a pointless, weird, easy minigame that you could have just been like, well, here's a cutscene. But instead you're like, no, here's a minigame. Why? What purpose was this minigame for? What? Why did you put a minigame?
It's so weird.
I'll never understand the minigame as long as I live. I'm like, why? What? Because it's so bizarre. But, Okay,
so moving on from Estelle, we have the next party member, which is my personal favorite character.
Yeah.
Carol. Mm-hmm. Carol Capel.
Carol is interesting.
He is, we mentioned it earlier, I think he is I know he gets on a lot of people's nerves. A lot.
You can't see me, but I'm raising my hand, but yeah.
He's very divisive in the fandom, but yeah. I think he's really cool because he's one of the first, what I think is that he gets a bad rap, but in reality, he's actually very competent at what he does, and he's super knowledgeable, and he's very clever, and his overarching story with forming Brave Vesperia and the development that comes from that, I think is really, really good.
I think what keeps me from liking Carol, because I think of Carol, and I do like all of his character aspects, and I think he's a very kind of human character. He's very well, they handle his character really well, they handle his interactions with the party, and that's actually one of the strongest points of Vesperia, is that all of the party members interact in very meaningful ways, that Abyss was lacking in, actually. Most characters, everybody in Abyss kind of mostly interacted with Luke, and there wasn't
a lot with each other.
Yeah, but Vesperia does a really good job of making sure everybody talks to everybody and makes friends with everybody. So you feel like these characters are all actually friends. And Carol's interactions with everybody in the party are some of the more... They're more fun, they're very lighthearted, they're cute. I mean, he's a cute kid. Yeah. But what stops me from liking Carol, I just don't like his English voice actor. It's
you know what? That's fair.
It's not
that's
good.
Fair.
All of his lines... Yari! No, stop it! Zip it, child!
I grew to like it, but like that's fair. You know what?
It's pretty rough.
That's really fair. You know, a bad voice can really hamper
a lot of things.
You know, the likability of a character.
Colette.
But like I mean, he does have probably the best line in the game, though.
Prepare to die! Honestly, the best part is when Troy Baker reads it again in his Carol voice. That's the best part of Tales of Vesperia. Like, that sells you on the whole game, because you're like, it's one of those casts.
Yeah. What really burns me about Carol is that when you see Carol and you see him kind of being a goofball and you see him kind of running around and like being kind of like the cowardly character, you really expect him to be like a the kind of know-nothing who thinks he's tough and cool and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But they really kind of flip it around, and they like very much immediately show that his brave face is an insecurity, and it's a disguise. It's it's very clearly a mask he's wearing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like they go like right away show you, hey, this kid's pretending as hard as he can to be cool. Mm-hmm. And so that's why it's like it goes from being like an annoying character trait, from like when you see like the character's like, oh, I'm the super badass who's really cool, but they're a total coward.
Right.
When you establish it right away, it goes from being annoying to being very sympathetic.
Yeah, I feel that.
Especially because he was right. about the panacea potion, about the tree in Halure, he was
awesome.
Right.
He was
right.
He
nailed it. He knew what he was doing. The only reason he failed is because he couldn't find the egg bear.
That's awesome. You're right.
And so when they catch up to the hunting blades and they're like, you ran away and you're a coward and you suck and we already fired you, I was like livid because he did it. No, he actually did it. Like It would have been one thing if he did run away from it, and like you find Carol and he's cowering and he needs Yuri and Estelle to help him,
right?
But when the party finds him, he is in there trying his best, to accomplish it, and the only reason that they leave him behind is because he takes too long,
right?
Like he did it. He was
right.
He had the right idea. He figured it out before anyone else. Before Flynn and the Knights figured it out. He's like, oh, you need the panacea potion.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And I'm just like immediately. And then there's also the part in Ospio where they're like, where Estelle and you're like, oh my god, how do we get into the city? And then Carol walks up in the background and just picks the lock.
And he's just like, hey, we can go in through here. And they're both like, wait, what? Like,
and that's kind of the establishment moment that like, Carol may be a goofball kid, and he may be a 12-year-old, but he's very smart, and he knows a lot about guilds and about establishing rules, and Estelle knows a lot about the politics of the Imperial side, and Carol knows a lot about the politics of the guilds.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I feel that.
And he's one of the, we said this before, but like one of the things that this game does really well is kind of take character archetypes and flip not all of them, but flip some of the character tropes that make up that archetype.
Yeah, they kind of flip them on their
Estelle
head.
being sheltered but being very knowledgeable, or Yuri being a very humble worldly guy but really not knowing a lot about the outside world.
Yeah, it's just really like. I do appreciate that about Carol. I get his character development. I get the kid for sure, but I have such a hard time with children characters in the first place.
Yeah, I know. And Carol is aggressively childish.
And Carol is aggressively, exceedingly 12 years old. He's not mature for his age.
Yeah, he's not like Genus or Annis, who are very, mature adult-type characters. Like, Carol is very clearly a little snot-nosed kid.
Yeah, and sometimes it just doesn't... Sometimes I'm just like, shh, grown-ups are talking. Which is mean, I know, but I'm not...
I know.
That's why I don't have children.
And that's one of the other things I really like about this game is that none of the characters do that to him.
That is good too, yeah, for
None
sure.
of the party members, like, when Carol establishes himself as the leader of Brave Vesperia,
oh yeah,
Yuri and Judith fall in line.
They're just like, yeah, sure, he's the boss for sure.
They're like, they'll defer to him, and they won't do it in, like, a joking way. You know, they'll be like, Carol is the boss of the guild. Carol is the one in charge. Like, we will, if, it's up to him. Like, Yuri does make decisions, and Carol does kind of go along with it because, he idolizes Yuri.
And he's 12.
But Yuri will defer to him first. In all seriousness, he will say, like, Carol, is this okay with you?
Right, yeah. Yeah, I think it's really cool. And I do like that. It's been such a long time since I've played Vesperia, but, like I said, memory like a steel trap. I know there is a scene kind of where Yuri does kind of joke about him being the boss a little, and then, he does start being really serious about it. He kind of, I know there's that part where he confronts Judith and Yuri about taking the guild thing seriously. It's after Judith runs away.
Yeah.
And, after Judy runs away, he kind of confronts both of them in what is actually a pretty serious little scene for a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
He's like, listen, I want this to work, and I want us to be a guild, but for that to happen, you two have to take this seriously as well. And they both go, okay, we will.
Yeah,
they do.
It's one of the great things about this game. You know what's really great about Vesperia? Characters talk to each other.
Oh my god, thank you. It's such a nice... After the absolute slog of frustration that is Tales of the Abyss and all of you assholes keeping secrets from each other, Tales of Vesperia has everybody talking. They work their problems
characters
out.
do keep secrets.
But they work them out.
I won't say they don't. Raven keeps secrets.
Well, that's because Raven is Raven.
Yeah, Judith keeps secrets, but not because of, any, outside reason, but because she does not want Rita to set her on fire.
Which is a very valid reason, I think.
That's a good reason that will kind of keep the Dragon Rider thing on the down low for a little while.
Yeah, because, Rita has shown literally zero reservations about, lighting people on fire.
Rita will burn people. She doesn't care.
She's cool with it. Trust me. Rita is okay with lighting your shit on fire, my friend. So let's talk about Rita.
Yeah, let's talk about Rita Mordio.
I love Rita Mordio.
Rita's probably one of the better mage characters.
Oh god, Rita has the best black mage art. Now, okay, first and foremost, I don't know, and we'll talk about Exilia when we talk about Exilia, but a good Rowan player in Exilia, if you look up Omega Evolution on YouTube,
dude, that guy's awesome.
You mean the most ridiculous YouTube Tales player ever? If you look up his plays as Rowan in Exilia, you're like, oh, okay, well, Rowan is the most broken character in the franchise. Cool. I'm not a good Rowan player. But, so, I don't know. I'm not as good with Rowan, but I do know Rita, and I know that Rita has probably one of the best and most varied black mage art lists in the series.
Her arts are incredible.
And they look really cool. They look really cool.
Her casting animation is the best in the series, bar none.
Absolutely, because it's so fluid and the
twirling the chain around to make the runes appear is
awesome.
Just so cool, man.
Always is cool every time.
Also, I want to roll back real quick. And just as a side note, if you guys ever want to see anything Tales related, Omega Evolution has a video for it.
Oh, absolutely. He has all of them. He is the Tales guy. If you want to see every possible variation of somebody's mystic art, even if it's just the fact that a character is wearing a hat and then he's not wearing a hat, he's got it. Trust me.
Yeah. If you want to see costumes, if you want to see art exhibitions, if you want to see
cutscenes,
100-man arena runs, just go look it up. You'll find it on him.
He's done awesome videos, like I said, of Rowan single-handedly fighting Noctigal alone. The rest of the party is dead on unknown mode by himself, and I'm just like, okay, I'll never be that kind of. I consider myself a decent Tales player. I think I'm pretty good at these games. I'll never be that good. Ever.
Yeah, no.
Ever. No, because I'm not a robot.
And the best part is he doesn't talk.
He doesn't talk a word.
It's just, here's the video. Here you go, friend.
What a saint. The
Great.
man deserves a medal. We don't deserve him.
But no, Rita's arts are jaw-droppingly incredible.
They look cool, and they're...
Violent Pain is the coolest looking thing ever.
Right? With the little arm thingies, the little zippy arm.
The tendrils that shoot out and then curl back in.
Like, so cool. It makes a really cool, like, zip, zip, zip noise that I can't even describe, and I probably just sounded like a fool trying to.
Yeah. Her meteor storm is awesome. What's it where she just dumps fire on you?
Oh, Inferno?
No, it's not Inferno. It's 2 words.
Oh God!
I'm gonna fucking remember it as soon as we turn off the podcast.
Why are you making me remember trivia right now? You're making me look like a fool. I didn't win those trivia contests.
When was the last time you played Vesperia?
Oh, a long time ago.
Yeah, so whatever. Okay. You forgot the name of a single art, but she has an art where she just dumps fire on you. It's great.
Her gravity well art is
tractor beam.
Tractor beam? Is it tractor beam? Yeah, it is.
She has tractor beam.
Her tractor beam is so cool looking. And I think one of my favorite things about the Tales, as a franchise, is the fact that you can compare, and the fact that they held on. I mean, I know Final Fantasy does it too, but Final Fantasy's magic spells are not quite the same level as elaborate.
Not a level of creativity, in their naming.
Yeah, and the fact is that they're not quite, they're pretty simple. They're just there to help make magic damage happen. They're not there to be big and flashy, because Tales is nothing but flashy, frankly. I like that you can compare different spells across different games. I saw, not to be a major spoiler, it's not, don't worry, but Indignation is back in Berseria.
Cool.
And it looks dope. It's
awesome.
It's still not as cool as Abyss's Indignation, which is the best Indignation in the series. Although Rita, in Tales of Vesperia PS3, she does get Indignation.
She gets it back, yeah. She gets Indignation.
Pretty fucking radical, yeah. Her Indignation is really cool. But I love Rita. I
love Rita. I love that she is the most tsundere, snarky, hot-headed little mage ever. Because mages don't get to be hotheads.
Oh, I know. You don't.
Mages get to be smart and cool and wear blue. And no, Rita wears red and she'll punch you and then light you on fire.
Oh, she has absolutely zero reservations about doing it. And she's willing, she is the embodiment of I'll fucking fight you. That's literally Rita Mordio's character is fight me, motherfucker.
There's that part where when you return back to Heliord.
Yeah.
And you a bunch of guards run by and they're like, we need to calm down the mage we hired. And Yuri goes to the barracks and Rita has laid out a dozen guys.
And she's just really, really willing to fight everybody. And I mean everybody. And for that alone, the girl deserves props.
Oh yeah, she's 15 and she will just bite anyone in half.
She's just she's just a really, again, it's a fun take on a familiar character trope, but adapted in a way that feels very new and interesting. It's not cliche. It's taking character cliches for sure and kind of flipping them around and making them feel like something new. To have the hot-headed, a lot of RPGs go for the whole smart girl mage character.
Yeah,
kind of
your mage will be a scholar or a bit more passive, or and a bit less willing to jump in the front lines. And then you have Rita, who is well, I can blow things up.
And I'll fucking fight you, let's go.
Magic will let me destroy you.
And yeah, she's great. I mean, her whole, again, all of her interactions with the party are really fun. I think her and Estelle's duo is probably my favorite thing about the game, or one of my favorite things about the game. Just them as a duo has just been...
Yeah,
they are so fun. All of their cry of victories, their little victory celebrations are amazing. The high five one especially is just
of course.
Put up your hand, and then they high five. Oh my god, so cute.
And I love that I didn't realize this until my recent replay. There are so many times where they will just follow each other.
Oh, I know. They just kind of absently.
Rita will walk off to go look up something or talk to someone, and Estelle will go with her.
Yeah, they're friends. Or it's cute.
Or Estelle will talk about she wants to go somewhere, and Rita will be like, "Well, I'll come with you."
Yeah,
and
it's cute. It's nice.
It happens every time
because they establish early on that Estelle has no friends her own age, and then here's Rita to be a friend, and by God, Estelle is gonna befriend you whether you like it or not, honey.
And she doesn't like it at first, and
no.
then she warms up very quickly.
And it's very cute, and it's just nice to see that kind of, like, again, Vesperia does the party interactions in Vesperia are some of the strongest in the franchise, because
absolutely.
You feel like everybody knows and likes everybody, you know? And that's just so nice. It's just so, it's so good to really get a sense that all of these characters know each other and enjoy being with each other.
And they're all different too, which is really appreciated. Like, they have different relationships with each other.
Yeah.
And it's very, like, one of the cool things I really liked about it is that they have the last battle, conversations, as is typical for a Tales game. You have your last battle conversations. They don't pair up the way you'd expect them to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you would expect, like, Yuri and Carol or something, and, like, Rita and Estelle. But no, Rita talks to Judith, which is a character, like, in other game, like, if Vesperia were another game, Rita and Judith would never talk to each other.
Yeah, they wouldn't get as much interaction for sure.
Yeah.
But actually, Rita and Judith, their conversation before the final battle is really good.
Yeah, they have a very distinct relationship because of what Judith does.
Right, exactly.
And how they get over that and how they move on from it and become close friends afterward.
And I love kind of, that's that whole tsundere kind of thing she does where she says, when they save Judith and she says, "Are you stupid or something? Did you really think you could save the whole world by yourself?"
Yeah.
I mean, that was such a nice moment because it was just like, oh, again, you get that sense that all of these characters are friends. They're not just...
Yeah, they really care about each other.
Yeah, they're not just trying to, like, tolerate each other long enough to save the world. They do...
Or they're not like generic friends, you know?
Yeah, they're like real
They're
friends.
not like friends as a whole.
Yeah. Like they
you
feel
really
like
get the
actual
idea...
friends. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they all care about each other individually.
Yeah, and it's just nice. It's just, I don't know, it's a nice breath of fresh air. Thank God for that. Especially after the emotional, devastation that is Tales of the Abyss. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. As a whole, Vesperia feels very much like...
An apology?
Okay, we went a little hard, okay? So why don't you guys sit back, get yourselves a nice cup of tea, and here's this bright Miyazaki game you can play.
That's exactly it. It's just an apology.
Look at how colorful it is.
Don't you feel better now? We are so sorry for what we did to you. Because, Abyss is a rough ride, and Vesperia has its moments where it's kind of emotionally taxing for sure, but I never once was, like, crying the way I cried. I literally cried my soul out a few places in Abyss. You always get the sense that everything was going to be okay,
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Abyss is like nothing is ever going to be okay.
You weren't worried that anyone was going to die.
Yeah, exactly. Which is nice, thanks.
I mean, we did have that moment where, like, where Yuri was like, "I'm going to have to kill Estelle.
Yeah,
this is going to really suck." And
nobody believed that.
You felt like hit, like, because Yuri didn't know that.
Right.
But we did, but we could still be like, this is written well enough that we're like, okay, we can still empathize with Yuri being like, oh god, it's gonna come to this, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you kind of get the idea that, like, it's not that you ever think it could happen, because of course not. We're adults, we know it's not gonna happen, but you do get the feeling that, like, oh, it's come to this. It's kind of like, you still feel the emotional punchiness of it for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But you're never worrying for anybody's life. Like, yes, okay, they dropped a giant stone temple on Raven. I never thought he was dead, not once.
Yeah.
No, come on.
You know what? Let's dive right into him.
Oh, good, because he's
next on the list, and like we'll go right into that.
Because nobody thought Raven was dead after that point. Shut up.
No one did. Of course not.
No one thought Raven was dead after that.
But that reveal was a gut punch, wasn't it?
That reveal, though, was pretty good.
You texted me. You texted me about that. You're like, what the fuck?
I wasn't surprised that he was Schwann. I was really more surprised by the fact that he had a giant fucking rock in his chest. That's what was really like, what the fuck? I really
He's got a Blastia heart. He's dead, man.
Yeah, I would have really liked more backstory about that, because I don't like... Thank God it seems like they're kind of getting away from that now. They're kind of going back to keeping all their fucking lore in the fucking game. Because it's at its absolute worst in Exilia, and we'll get to that next time. But I really wish they had maybe given us a flashback or two, or at least a little bit more lore about kind of what happened there.
Yeah, more, like, he does get a side quest where he kind of talks about it a bit more in detail, but you don't get enough concrete description of what actually happened.
Yeah, meanwhile you actually get visual actual flashbacks of Jade as a kid, because Jade is kind of the Raven of the story. He's the old, mind you, that's in quotation marks, the old guy in the story, with a mysterious backstory, and he got an actual flashback with unique models. Meanwhile, we really don't get anything like that for poor Raven, who deserved it.
Yeah, he deserved it, but now you mentioned that, I want to bring that up too. Okay, Jade's 35, and he acts like an old man, but he's being an asshole.
Right.
The party acts like Raven is a cranky old, creaky bones old man.
And he's 35.
And he's 35.
Listen here, you young motherfuckers. I'm 27. I'll kill all of you. I am not an old woman yet. I'll fight all of you. Jesus Christ.
And the best part is, it's not Yuri's what, 21? Judith's 19, right?
Yeah.
They're not that much younger than... it'd be one thing if, they were all, 12 and calling Raven an old man.
Yeah, exactly.
But, Yuri, you can drink. You can't be calling him an old man.
You are legally an adult, child. Do you understand that? You are an adult. You can't call a dude who's 35 an old guy, because... I guess it's because Raven looks like an old guy.
Yeah, and I think that's because he's dead.
It's because he is dead, for sure.
Yeah. That might be...
he's dead. Because he looks old, so I'm guessing, I'm kind of, I'm guessing that's why he complains about being old, and why everybody kind of calls him old, is because he does definitely look a lot older than 35. He
looks like a 60-year-old man.
He looks rough. He looks pretty rough.
He's had a rough time of it.
He's had a really rough time, yeah. Poor Raven. I do want to know, where does his stubble go when he's Schwan?
He wears a prosthetic chin.
Okay.
And then he takes it off.
I was gonna say it's retractable, but I like that too. If he sucks his gut in, then his stubble shucks in too. You know what I mean? Kind of like when he's Schwan, he's gotta stand and be all manly.
Suck in it. Yeah, he can't hunch over.
Yeah, so he's got to kind of suck his stubble in too. I figure that's how it
works. I gotta check, because you can get the armor, the Imperial Knight armor costume for him.
Yep.
I gotta check if he has stubble when he's wearing that.
He does not.
Oh, he doesn't. Okay, because I know
he's clean shaven.
Okay, well then he wears a fake chin, and then he takes it off.
Yeah.
It's to disguise him, because he's immediately recognizable because of his facial hair.
It's true. His smooth hair in his Schwan costume, it is an abomination, by the way.
You don't like it?
No, I'm so used to his giant poofy man ponytail. It's just I don't like it because it's so silky smooth. I'm like, why does this old man have better hair than I do? And then I get really self-conscious about the fact that I'm yet again being outclassed by a 35-year-old anime character. It's Jade all over again. I'm like, shit, I don't need this. Suddenly I'm jealous of this old guy's nice-ass hair. Come on, man. No, put the poofy ponytail back on, you motherfucker. I don't need this, okay? I don't need to have a complex, thanks.
I think honestly, without a doubt, Raven's my favorite Tales character. Period.
Oh, yeah, I know he is. Yes, I know he is because I have known you for so long,
and you're like, that's the one he'd gravitate towards.
Of course it is, because he is a sarcastic, funny, bitter old guy who likes to dote on children. Yeah, that is your favorite kind of dude character.
He also has an Iron Man heart.
He has an Iron Man heart, and
he's an archer.
Yeah, and he's
with a cool retractable bow
that turns into a knife. How cool is that? Come on. Yes, I knew from the word go, Raven was your favorite character. Yeah. You didn't even have to tell me.
He's also a wind elemental.
Yes.
Art, which is my favorite of the generic fantasy elements.
Yep.
Wind elementals are the coolest.
Yes, they are. And so just all of these little things coalesced, and I was like, you don't even have to tell me, buddy.
It happens to you all the time where a character will be the culmination
there you go.
Of all your favorite tropes into one character.
Oh yeah.
It happens to you all the fucking time.
Oh, because I am a very easy person to please, mind you. Is he tall and kind of broad shouldered, and maybe
does he look like Gaius?
Does he look like
Is he Gaius? Is he Gaius? Yes, no.
You're right. That's exactly it. You can base all of my favorite characters in the Tales series of their relative closeness to Gaius, and
not even like Tales series 2. Like
Any
Simon Blackwell is Phoenix Wright Gaius.
You're so right. And see, the funny part is my second favorite character in the series is Mila, right? Who, while does not look anything like Gaius, sure the fuck acts a lot like Gaius. So really, we're just back at... And my third favorite character is Natalia, who also is aggressively do-gooding, kind of like Gaius. So basically, it's just like the Kevin Bacon scale of Tales games for me is like 7 degrees of Gaius, okay? So, like, the closer you are on the Gaius scale, the more I like you. And I guess that's why I don't like Carol that much. Because he's literally at the opposite end of the Gaius scale.
He is very much not Gaius in any way.
He's literally at the very ass end of the Gaius scale.
In fact... The Tales scale for your favorite characters is rate this character on a scale of Carol to Gaius.
It gets even better than that, though, because, like, if you think about it, right, Carol is like, my dogs are jumping on my bed, because they're like, why are you laughing so hard? Go away. Because Carol is, like, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, right, Carol being 1, Gaius being 10, you start getting into to negative Gaiuses, and these are the characters I actively hate, like Ash, right, or like Ion and Colette. Now we're getting into like negative Gaius. And those characters,
there's so little Gaius that Gaius becomes more Gaius.
I'm dying. We should have saved this for Celia, but it's so funny. Okay.
Now, okay, so
that was
you know
tangent.
what? In all honesty,
Uh-huh.
Raven's got dark skin. He's got long, flowing, perfect hair. He wears a lot of brown, you know, like a lot of reddish color.
And when he's Schwan, he has a cool sword. So
yeah,
that's at least like a
Raven's
like
about a 7.5 Gaiuses.
You're right, though. So yeah, Raven is pretty cool. I'll give you that. When you phrase it like that, if you could...
When you put it in the context of is he like Gaius, then yes, of course he's cool.
Of course he's cool. If you could like, any character you like that I don't like, if you could like try to frame it in that way, you could probably win me over, frankly.
God damn it.
No, Sarah, really, there's a guy in Kingdom Hearts who's a lot like Gaius. Go play it. And
you know,
it probably work.
Okay, alright. You know who that character is?
It's
King Mickey.
Oh, fuck you. No, motherfucker, you're not ruining my conversation about Tales of Vesperia by telling me that motherfucking King Mickey is anything like motherfucking King Gaius. No, you're not fucking up this podcast, Ben.
They're both kings. They both wear trench coats in the sequel.
They
both have a team of cabal of loyal followers.
Look, okay, Tales of Vesperia 2 doesn't count.
They both refuse to use their authority to accomplish their goals and get by only on their personal strength.
Oh my god, I'm not having this conversation
with you. They go on
you.
Espionage missions all the time.
I'm not having this conversation with you.
I'm
about to hang up this phone call and go play with my dogs.
They are borderline idolized by the protagonist.
I'm gonna kill you. You've done it. You've You've ruined this for me. You've destroyed everything. I'll never play Kingdom Hearts now. It backfired.
I'm gonna compile a list of all the ways that King Mickey and King Gaius are alike.
I'm gonna kill you.
They both wear red and black.
Fuck you. Oh, go fuck yourself. I'm hanging up.
I'm right. You know I'm right.
Oh my god. I can't believe this. Guys, is King Mickey.
Alright, you know what, we were talking about Raven.
We got really distracted. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's fun. It's great. This is probably the best moment of the podcast.
Oh god.
Okay, so speaking of heartbreaking tragedy.
Oh no.
probably the worst thing about don't ever bring Carol to the fight with Schwann.
Oh no!
Don't bring Carol to the fight with Schwann, because that shit's you'll put down the contrrer and have to walk away.
No, don't do it to yourself. Be nice. Don't bring the kid to the fight with his father figure, please.
Like straight up, like, because Tales games will have the incidental dialogue during boss battles where like they'll kind of go they'll kind of have a slight conversation in the middle of the fight, you know,
where you don't know what they're saying because you're already busy fighting and there's no fucking subtitles. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, but Carol's is straight up. He says something along the lines of either I never knew my father or my father is like a bastard or something like that.
Right.
I don't know. Like either way, Carol does not have a relationship with his father.
Right. Exactly.
And he says, my father was never around for me, so I kind of always thought that you.
And then he ends it there, yeah.
Yeah, and then, Schwann is like, sorry, kid, that's just how it goes, something like that.
No!
And, like, that's, like, the most, like, low-key heartbreaking moment in, like, one of the better, more heartbreaking moments in the series, I think.
It's because it's a very subtle kind of heartbreak. They don't really shove your face in it. And it's just so, like, it's sad. You just feel...
Yeah. And it really goes back to the fact that, like, Carol acts like a kid.
Yeah, he is a kid.
And to the point, like, everyone in the party is older than him, and he very clearly idolizes all of them.
Yeah, he just thinks the world of all of them. Yeah, of course.
He's so happy and proud to be among them.
Yeah. Because they are all so capable and cool, and they're all very brave, and
none of them would dare tease him for his faults or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, going back to him real quickly, there's that part in Cave Mock when they was it Cave Mock, the ruined city where they confront the hunting blades. Or no, not the hunting blades. It's in
Karabakram.
It's in Dawngrest. It's in Dawngrest.
Okay.
Where when you first go to Dawngrest and like you run into two like NPCs.
Yeah. And
they're like, oh, Carol's back. Oh, did he get kicked out of the hunting blades already?
Yeah.
And they spend like a little bit of time shit-talking him.
Yeah.
And like after like a few moments, Yuri just kind of steps in and he's like, are these guys your friends? Like, you could do a lot better than these chuckleheads.
Yeah, exactly. It's awesome.
And like that, and again, that's it. That's all Yuri has to do. And like that just diffuses the whole situation.
Yeah, and it's just so like, Carol so desperately wants not just for them to he doesn't just want to be friends with them. He wants them to kind of approve of him. You pick up on that. And he wants them to kind of, he wants to be in the same, he even says that, I think, about Yuri at some point. He says, I'm not like you. I can't be like you. I'm just not strong like you. And so the whole confrontation with Schwann and Raven in the ruins like that is so sad because you just
hearing that from him, like hearing just flat out saying, "I thought of you," not just as a father figure, like I thought of you as my dad.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like,
and like it is having him shut it down there.
Oh, I know, it's so cold. God, it's so just like, can somebody, I think Raven definitely got the short end of the stick in the life lottery for sure.
Yeah.
You feel really again, I wish the game had pushed it further, but you do at least get the sense that he is pretty trapped by Alexei. We'll kind of get into Alexei in a minute.
You know what?
I guess we could close the podcast out with that when we get to it. Yeah,
I was legit worried though, like for a while. I was legit worried that when they started talking about turning Blastia into spirits,
that he'd die. Yeah.
Yeah, like sure. I mean, like no one's mentioning it, no one's saying it because maybe they aren't like quite aware of it yet. And like Raven does have like a few moments where like he kind of like hesitates about it.
Yeah.
But like it turns out that was more just hesitating about, the fate of the world afterward. Yeah. But like, yeah, for a while you're like, wait, is this going to kill him? Because he needs it to live.
Right, but it does make sense that it doesn't, because his Blastia works. It doesn't work off air. It works off his own
body.
Yeah, it works off his own body. So fortunately, nothing happened. Thank God.
Yeah, but there's still like, it's one of those things where like you kind of like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And then they don't mention it, but you still kind of worry like, are they going to do that? Because it is not unprecedented.
Right.
I think this is a post Final Fantasy X world where the cool older mentor character
dies at the end of the game.
Dies at the end.
Yeah.
And like you know what? So, like, okay, well, that's acceptable now.
Yeah, I guess if Square Enix can do it, anybody can do it, you assholes.
You know, and the protagonist died at the end of the last Tales game.
It's true, so really, you can't trust these fucking games, honestly. But yeah, no, I definitely, I did worry, certainly, for Raven's well-being. And again, it would have been nice for that conversation to have come up, because that would have been a cool thing to kind of add in the Act 3, where nobody is really doing any developing at all.
Yeah, it would, at least be like, at least have like Rita or Carol be like, hey, are you going to make it through this?
Right.
And just have it be like, no, it'll be okay. Like, it doesn't work that way for me. It's different.
Right. Or even just be like, well, we'll just see, whatever happens, because that's that's a very Raven response.
Or, or it would have been, because, like, the game's loaded with minor side quests, have one be where Rita, you go back to Austria or whatever, and Rita tries to analyze the Blastia and figure out whether or not he'll make it through. And, like, maybe he gets maybe they get a title out of it or something like that, or they get an equipment or whatever. Like,
just
something minor.
For more development, because God knows, the game, I mean, like, again, the third act is so lacking in it. Because the characters are so... I wrote a really long essay once about why I think the third act of Tales of Vesperia is so weak, and one of them is that in a game where... one of my points I made was that in a game where all of the main characters are very chatty people, very kind of friendly, they talk a lot amongst each other, they don't really do a lot of interacting in the third act.
Yeah, there's not a lot of interpersonal stuff anymore. It's more, world-saving stuff.
And it's just not... I mean... since that hasn't been the focus of the game up until this point, to have it switch to that is really jarring, and it just doesn't work. And especially it doesn't work for Raven, who I felt like, definitely, because he is such a compelling character, he was very trapped in kind of the fact that this one guy literally owned him in a way.
Yeah.
He was so kind of he was just backed into that corner, and you felt so awful for him. It would have been nice to hear more about that period and to know more. Because it seems like at one point he did think very highly of Alexei, and he respected Alexei, and then somewhere along the line something went really, really wrong. And we never really get a good explanation of what that something is.
Yeah, we could have afforded just a little bit more world-building details. For sure.
It
all boils down to, like we said earlier, it's like just a little bit more. Just a little,
I know!
Just push it a little bit more.
If the game had just done... I'm, like, switching around, like, kind of, like, adjusting myself. If the game had just gone a little bit more... Just pushed it a little bit further for Act 3, it would have been just fine. But as it is, it feels very truncated. So the first two acts are so strong... And then Act 3 is so weak in comparison. Oh my god, it's so weak. But for the most part, we've got one more character left.
Yeah, one more party member at least, and then we have two more characters to talk about.
And they kind of go hand in hand, so
we'll kind of fold them together, I think. Maybe.
Right.
But the last party member to join the team is, of course, one of the coolest characters in the game. That's Judith!
Yay, Judy! Judy is very, Judy's so... I don't know, Judy feels... like, we don't get enough characters like Judy in Tales games, because there aren't... You get a lot of mage chicks, you don't get a lot of cool battle chicks. Because in...
even Mila was a spellcaster.
But she was a cool sword spellcaster, so we're gonna give her a pass, because she is pretty dope. See, that's the thing, because Exilia was a good step forward, because... both Leia and Mila... I mean, Leia is aggressively a physical character.
Yeah.
She does healing, but it's spot healing. So she's not the same. And then Judy... And then actually, Chloe from Legendia was the character before Judith, who is, like, very much an offensive character. And she actually is my personal favorite art list in the entire game, which is really weird for a game I've never played, but whatever.
So, like, it was like in Symphonia you get Persea, but Persea is kind of, the emotionless girl, and she's a compelling character, but, like, she's kind of a contrast between being, the sweet, innocent-looking girl and being, a heavy, tanky character.
Right, exactly.
And you get the same thing with Annis, who is a physical fighter, but she's, cutesy and, pigtails and all.
And she's very heavily casting-oriented as well.
Yeah. And then you get Judith, who is actually just a straight-up, no-nonsense fighter. Like, here's her spear, and she's going to do cool dragoon shit that you will never do.
You will never ever
play as Judith.
You can't play. She's so techie. I kind of got decent with her. She's very aerially oriented, and if you can't pull off those air combos, do not try playing as Judith.
Yep.
Sorry.
Stick with Yuri, scrub.
Stay with Yuri, because if you can't do the air combos, you can't play Judith right, because that is what her character is based around. For good reason. She's a Dragoon. That's kind of her thing. But she's just she's fun. She's always really eager to fight. I mean, that's just like a nice, it's so fun.
I love that she has two very distinct voices.
Yes.
She has her normal, calm, cutscene voice. Mm-hmm. And then in battle, it suddenly gets very, like, high-pitched and almost, like, childish in a way.
Because she's so excited. Yeah.
Yeah. To the point where, like, my first playthrough, I sometimes got her and Rita confused.
Yes, because she does that high-pitched, excited voice thing in combat. She has... if you run away from boss fights with Gigantos, she has unique escape lines where she's saying, I don't want to run away. And if you have her in the party when you run away from a fight with a Giganto, it triggers a skit where she's really disappointed that you ran away. Because she says... Oh,
that's cool.
She says, if you run away from the fight, she basically says... Somebody says, well, it could eat you. She's like, then I will cut my way out of its stomach. And I'm just like, oh, that's the kind of character you're dealing with here. Yeah. Because she's so... she's very unique in that way. Because she's just very let's fucking fight.
I just did the Coliseum thing, mm-hmm. and there's that great bit where, like, they're trying to discuss who will sign up for the tournament, mm-hmm. and Judith is already walking away before they decide on Yuri.
Yeah, she's great. She's already walking off to cause more havoc. She's amazing.
Yeah. The fact that her proper introduction as a party member is Yuri being like, let's get in a fist fight.
Yeah, and then they just punch each other in the face.
Yeah.
Awesome. So much fun. Again, it's this whole idea of taking these character tropes and making them really unorthodox, because she's the battle maiden for sure that you see in other franchises, but they rarely make it seem as much fun as Judith makes it seem. She's not... She just enjoys it, and she's just a blast. She's so funny.
She's so weird.
She's so weird, right?
She's such a weirdo, man.
She's just a weirdo. She says weird things all at a time, and she's always very just like when she, on the ghost ship, when she picks up the hand and she kind of like waves it around, and she plays with
waves
it
in front of Raven's face.
Yeah, and she plays with it, and you're like, honey, that's a body. Put that down. Amazing, fantastic character for things like that, because she just gets to be weird. She gets to be the cool older sister battle character who is so tanky and just like willing to fight the world, and does make the attempt, and she makes a damn good attempt because of the whole fighting. She fights the hunting blades on her own pretty well for a while, which is awesome. Until she's backed into a corner, and then you can swing in. And even then, the best part of that whole fight with Tyson and Nan is that she's technically been on her feet for like the last 32 hours, like protecting Baul.
Yeah.
And in the fight with Tyson and Nan, you have to have her in your party.
Yeah, and she's fully healed and everything.
And she's still ready and rearing to go. That is amazing. Because, it's like, well, Judith's tired. She doesn't have to be in this fight. No, motherfucker. Judith is not that tired. She's still willing to go. I love Judith. I just think, I wish we had more characters like Judith in the series. Oh, God, she's amazing.
I think Critians are my favorite elf design ever.
Oh, because they're so weird, right? They have weird tentacles. They have tentacles.
They're all weirdos.
Every single one of them. And they consider Judith, who is the party weirdo, to be a weirdo as well. Yeah. Because she wants to fight things, and the rest of the Critians are like, magic people! No.
Yeah, they're magic and scholars, and she's like, no, I want to stab dudes, though. I can learn about blood.
I can learn about how to stick pointy things into people and make them be dead-like. And so, in a race of weirdos, Judith is the weirdest of the weirdos. I love her. I'm so glad that for Exelia they kind of went, what if we took Judith and we made somebody kind of like her into the main character? And that's how we got Mila, who is, of course, the most perfect character ever.
I just like...
Yeah, she's great.
She's great. There's not really a lot you can say besides that, everything... You know what Judith is? Mm-hmm. Judith is like a spunky teenage Garnet.
Oh yeah, she totally is. She's basically Garnet from Steven
Where, like,
Universe,
the idea of, like, Judith could do anything, and it wouldn't really be out of character.
Oh, I know, right? She can either be super serious or very jokey and weird, and either way, it's like, well, that's Judith. Yeah, pretty much is exactly what she would do.
You would be impressed, but not surprised.
No, not at all. And because of it, I mean, it just makes her so much fun. And the one thing I hated in the whole game was when she left the party, because my party is Judith, Rita, Yuri, and Estelle. That's Team Girl. I love Team Girl. Team Girl is the best team.
Dude, when, like, that team up is great because you can see Estelle and Rita casting spells in the back, and then it's just Yuri and Judith right in the front lines, just like comboing dudes.
Just beating dudes up and just, like, completely distracting, like, drawing all the attention onto themselves so that the two girls can cast in the background. It's amazing. Just all of them together is perfect.
So that the girls can cast Holy Rain and Meteor Storm.
Oh my god.
While you're pulling off all your best arts too.
Oh my god. Nothing feels quite as broken as now you were telling me last night the Raven, Yuri, Rita, Estelle combo is good. And I will tell you, you're right, because I was thinking about this. The best possible combo for that trio is Angel Ring from Estelle, and then not Gravity Well. Why do I want to call it? Tractor Beam. You do Angel Ring, Tractor Beam, and Tornado. And
what's it? It's not Tornado, but like it's the Wind Storm one that he does.
Yeah, it's called Tornado or something like that. Anyways. Yeah. Or Wind Gale. Yeah? Wind Gale! Something like that. Anyways.
Yeah, where like he drops the ball of wind on them.
Yeah, and it's like an actual tornado on screen kind of thing.
Yeah.
That combo is astounding because Angel Ring pulls them all in, Tractor Beam keeps them in place, and then Tornado, or whatever the fuck it's called, hits, and is like the final blow. That is an absolutely unstoppable art combo right there. And it is beautiful. So good. Feels so good to get that off. Whenever I played Vesperia back in the day, I would just map those three arts to like the up, left, and down thumbstick, the right thumbstick, and just like be like and then watch chaos unfold. It was beautiful.
Great. I love it.
Amazing. Tidal Wave kind of works in the same way, but not as well.
Yeah.
But Tidal Wave is blah blah blah. Tidal Wave, blah blah blah.
You got to get it centralized for maximum pain.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I love Judith though. I mean,
she's just beautiful character. I love her.
Incredible character. I wish, again, we had gotten a little bit more backstory on her. Like, it's implied that Hermes is her dad, but never kind of outright stated. And I wish they had just kind of come out and said it.
Like, they're like, you know, connected familiarly.
But I wish they had just... it's obvious because of some of the lines she has in a side quest that he's her dad. So why not just come out and say it, you know? Why not just say, well, Hermes is my dad and he created the thing that's going to destroy the world and I feel compelled to destroy it because of it. Like, just come on. Just say it, Judy. It's okay. Yeah. Again, it's just kind of that, oops, we forgot to write the third act, rearing its ugly head again, so, what are you gonna do?
I also really love that Yuri is the one who calls her Judy, because Judith is too hard to say.
Yeah, and I kind of fall into it, too. I say it all the time now. I'm just like, Judy!
But
no.
Just Yuri, how lazy are you? You keep cutting off syllables and names.
Yeah, it's, we get Estelle instead of Estelise, and we get Judy instead of Judith, we get Captain instead of Carol. Yeah. Sometimes Captain Carol, but, you know, it's great. It's great.
He's probably really mad that Flynn only has one syllable in his name and he can't cut off any letters.
He can't give him some stupid-ass nickname because...
He can't be like, Fleur.
Or...
No, what Yuri does is he cuts off one of the ends. And you just can't tell.
You just can't tell. Exactly, but whenever he writes Flynn's name out, he just leaves off that end because he knows it pisses Flynn off. Because he would. So are we going to talk about Flynn now?
We're going to talk about Flynn.
Yay! Flynn Scifo! Flynn Scifo, the most overworked and underappreciated character in Tales of Vesperia. That poor man. That poor man and his asshole best friend. The Tales of Vesperia is the story of Flynn Scifo becoming an alcoholic because of his best friend, as far as I'm concerned. Because he doesn't deserve him.
I was like, the biggest thing that I love the most, and I will always, always, always love Vesperia for doing it, is for not breaking Yuri and Flynn up.
Yeah, for sure.
They stay friends throughout the entire game. They have a moment of hardship between their friendship where it's tested and it's threatened.
Because Yuri is a murderer.
Yeah, but they come out of it and they're still friends at the end, which is like almost unprecedented with that kind of relationship between characters.
Yeah,
for
sure, absolutely. Like
usually, when I found out that Yuri and Flynn will have a duel, I got nervous.
Right.
And then their duel ended up being the coolest thing ever because they're just like, hey, dude, let's just fight it out.
Yeah, let's just fight out all of our problems and call it even. And Flynn was like, yeah, all right, sounds good. By the way, getting the secret achievement for Flynn's fight is literally impossible, and I don't even fucking try to do it.
It's super hard
because you have to make him do all of his arts. You have to see every single one of Flynn's arts to get that achievement,
including his mystic art
and his healing art, which is really, really hard to make him trigger.
Yeah.
So yeah, fuck that shit. Never gonna do it. No. I'm never gonna get that costume. It's ugly anyways. So yeah. But I love
Which costume
Flynn.
Is it?
It's his True Knight costume. I hate that costume.
Oh, yeah.
It's not very good. I've never liked that costume.
I just bought it.
I just bought it too, for sure. You know, I think I bought it because back in the day, Namdai actually did costume packs right, where you spent $4 and got like 5 costumes for each character, which was amazing. Back when DLC was reasonable.
I just saw the requirements for that, and I'm just like, fuck that.
Yeah, fuck that shit. No, thank you. I'm just gonna spend the money. But anyways, no, Flynn is amazing. Flynn is probably my favorite character in the game. And, I mean, just because he's just like... I mean, poor Flynn, right?
He gets a lot of things that aren't his fault.
Kind of thrown on him.
He also has to put up with Sodia.
Sodia.
That poor man.
Sodia is really insufferable. I forgot how annoying his little... For one, I forgot his little mage friend even existed. Witcher. Witcher is, one, completely unremarkable, and two, when he is in the scene, he's really annoying. Flynn Scifo doesn't deserve those two people. He's a good person.
Witcher's like an annoying, genus.
Yeah, he's like a really, really annoying genus for sure.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, no. Poor Flynn. He, you kind of get the sense I really, really, really am really bitter we never got the PS3 version.
Yeah.
Because of Flynn being playable.
Yep.
I'm so mad. I know he technically joins the party like really late in the game, like Act 3 late, but he's like a guest party member. He joins
the party.
And he's a guest party member a lot in the PS3 version. I do know that. Like, he's a guest party member at Gas Frost, and he's a guest party member in a bunch of moments. He actually does help fight Alexei, which was so necessary because Alexei is his hero. And it's really bizarre that he doesn't help fight Alexei in the vanilla game. The 360 version, because again, I mean, like, he very obviously respects Alexei enough to maybe do orders that normally he would question, and then he never gets a chance to actually fight Alexei at Zaude, and it just feels like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's really like a wasted opportunity. I mean, he does get the cool monster marathon with Yuri and Rapide,
which is awesome.
Which is one of the best moments in the game.
Oh my god, it's so much fun. I love marathon battle. Like, anytime a Tales game can sneak a true marathon battle in, oh god, you've done something right, because marathon battles are the best part of a Tales game.
Super
They're
cool.
So fun. But yeah, poor Flynn. He really deserved more, but thank God for First Strike.
We can talk about First Strike and how great Flynn and Yuri are in that. How it reveals that Flynn is the more one who's quick to anger.
Oh my god, that Flynn Scifo, a lawful good paladin motherfucker, Flynn Scifo, is the one who will literally fight anybody. Without a second thought. It takes one dude kind of shoving him and, like, punching him accidentally in a bar fight for him to be like, you know what, never mind, let's fucking go. And then Yuri kind of calls him a little bitch at the end of the movie, and Flynn's like, fuck you, let's throw down right fucking now, and just, like, charges his ass. And it's a great scene, because you're like, oh, he's a petulant little shit who loves getting in fistfights. Fuck yeah! It's a good take.
Great.
It's a good take on the lawful good character to be like, okay, you can be lawful good and still be kind of an asshole, but not an unlikable asshole.
Yeah.
Man, it was surprising how good First Strike was, right?
You know what? I'm really, really, really glad that, because the Symphonia anime is kind of alright.
It's not great,
The Abyss anime is not great.
No, it looks ugly as shit.
Yeah. Vesperia's anime adaptation is really, really, really good.
It's really solid, right? It's
and I'm not usually like immediately pulled in by prequels, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Like if you're like, well, it's a prequel movie, I'm instantly like, well, I don't really care. Like
right.
I don't want to see what happened before unless it's like a really like interesting thing, but like it's like, well, I saw the like you know, the thing is like, how do these characters get here? Like, I saw how they got here.
Right.
They started the game this way.
I played the game, but no, this was actually really necessary. It was a good. I mean, it was a little. There was a few kind of retcons from the 360 version that kind of occur in First Strike, but they're not bad retcons. You know, they're not bad retcons at all. They're very kind of useful retcons, I think. And it was a really good way to, one, the animation looked great. Two,
it looks great.
Unexpectedly horrifying in a few places.
Yeah.
Let's dump a bucket of blood on this girl and see how she handles it. I'll tell you how she handles it. Horribly.
Poorly.
Poorly?
You know what? I will say one thing is like, dude, I'm really glad those girls got out of the movie alive.
Oh, right,
they're in the PS3 version.
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
When you see these bright, happy, you know, twins, you're like, oh god, one of them's gonna die.
Oh god, they're dead. Oh god, they're both gonna die. I really did think it was, their names are Chastel and Hiska. I was absolutely certain either one or both of them would die. Because it just kind of felt like it was an inevitability. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. You felt like, okay, well, these are our chosen dead. Like, it's gonna happen to one of these guys to get the trauma going.
Oh, yeah.
But no, they did something better / worse and killed the dog.
Oh, God, why would you kill the dog? Hey, that's the only part of Tales of Vesperia that ever made me truly cry. How about was the part where Yuri is holding repeat after he killed his dad. Yeah. And I'm sitting here just, not the dog! Not the dog!
It should be against the rules to kill the dog in a movie.
It's always unfair, and my dogs are staring at me right now while I talk about this. It's an unfair, cheap way to make my ass cry. So fuck you, First Strike.
So one of my friends, there's a movie called a website called Does the Dog Die?
The best website ever, you mean?
And my friend will refuse to watch any movie that is marked as yes on that list.
It's a good rule, because I didn't know the dog died in I Am Legend, and I was traumatized. So yeah, no, don't watch any movie where the dog dies, okay? Yeah. But First Strike was so necessary for a lot of Flynn's character development, for the backstory character development, to help explain how Yuri got to be the way he is, and the fact that he doesn't trust authority at all. Yeah. It's a good movie. It's actually a very good movie, and you should, and anybody who is still listening to us right now, even if we're at the 2-hour mark, anybody
if you haven't seen it,
go watch it.
Go watch it. It's really, really good.
It's actually, if you have Funimation streaming, it's actually on there.
And now, granted, you won't get anyone's original voice besides Yuri and Flynn.
But that's fine.
But the replacements they got for... The only other main characters that appear in it are Rita and Raven.
And Estelle, very briefly.
And Estelle, very briefly, yeah. But, like, Estelle and Rita sound fine. Raven doesn't, because Raven's voice actor is super good in the game. And, like, I wish he would have done more.
I know. It's Zelos all over again.
Yeah, he's a radio DJ, I think.
Oh, okay.
And so
he's got like a real job.
He's got a real person job.
Yeah,
so that's why
someday an actual voice actor is going to be like, "What the fuck are you two talking about?" I think voice actors are real jobs. Because I don't want like Travis Willingham to come kick my ass because he's a big guy.
We're saying it very tongue in cheek because like it's
anime.
Yeah, you get like that sort of stigma where it's like, you know, what are you, or a voice actor, like big deal. But, like, no, I understand that there's a ton of work that goes into it, and I love every voice actor.
So please don't come kick my ass, Travis Willingham and Troy Baker.
I have
please.
tremendous respect for every voice actor, because like some of the best performances I've ever heard from anything have been voice acting over, you know, stage or movie acting.
Absolutely.
And like I want Raven's voice actor to do more stuff because his voice is super good.
Exactly, and he does have a great voice, and unfortunately he is not in First Strike. But it does have Troy Baker and Sam Riegel, which frankly should be enough to sell you on it, because it's Troy Baker and Sam Riegel talking to each other for an hour and a half. How fucking awesome is that? Come on.
And, you know, again, we wouldn't get into shipping things, but it really feels, this whole movie really feels like Yuri and Flynn just broke up.
I mean, like, 30 minutes before the movie started. Not just like they broke up 2 weeks ago. No, I mean, like on the horse ride over in the beginning of the movie, it's kind of like, maybe we should call this off, and it's like that weird, awkward silence that follows afterwards. Like, that's what the movie feels like, and you're like, oh, okay. Like, straight up, that's exactly what it feels like. And I'll believe that until the day I die. The Tales of the Abyss, Jesus God. Tales of Vesperia, The First Strike is a movie about a breakup, or the aftermath of a breakup. And
these two characters were dating for a while, and they broke up, and now they're dealing with but they still have to go to work together.
Exactly.
And so they're just super passive aggressive with each other the entire time
until they finally beat the shit out of each other at the end of the movie, and then make me cry when they bring up Flynn's dad. Hey, that should be against the law too. Dead dads brought up in that kind of context, where like it makes the dude whose dad died literally cry on screen, and that dude is a pretty emotionally like strong character, you know? But that part at the end of The First Strike where they make Flynn cry by bringing up his dad, I'm sitting over here on my end of the computer screen just, oh God, here it comes. Oh God. Like, I just know I'm about to boo-hoo all over the place. I'm a weak person. I'm an emotionally tiny, fragile little lady, okay? And I have my little things that will make me lose it, and that was one of them, because I didn't expect it, for one. And then it's like, oh, tears. Oh no, I'm crying. Oh God, someone turned the movie off. And then that fight at the end of the movie is so fucking dope.
Yeah. Oh yeah, where they fight Nega Jade?
Yeah, they fight Evil Jade, or Eviler Jade. Yeah. Whatever. They fight Blonde Jade.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, I mean,
they super reused the same art, like,
God,
character design.
Literally the same character, like 100%. He's voiced by J. Michael Tatum, though, and he sounds awesome.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he sounds so good.
So speaking of great voice actors
and villains,
we'll wrap this up with the true villain of Vesperia, because it's not fucking Duke.
Fucking Duke. Fucking Duke.
Who cares about Duke? Like, here's all I'll say about Duke is he was there.
He was there, and then he wasn't.
He helps the party out more than he hinders them. Then you fight him at the end, and who cares?
I mean, it makes no sense. When the game was trying to tell me that Duke was the final boss, they're like, Duke, summon Tarkaron! And I'm standing here like, wait. Are you telling me that Duke is the final boss? Duke? What? No. But yeah, no. Duke is the final boss of Tales of Vesperia, and it does not make any fucking sense.
Because it should have been Alexei.
Hey.
Who is voiced by DC Douglas, and God, I love that man.
God, I love DC
Your
Douglas.
villain is Adam Wesker.
How could you fuck that up? How do you fuck up the fact that you got Wesker to be your anime bad guy? Come on! Like, man, Alexei did not deserve to go out like that. And I don't mean that by saying, like, Alexei did nothing wrong. No, I mean, Alexei did everything wrong and deserved
a more just, more...
Awesome.
Like, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I laughed like an idiot when he died.
Because I thought it was a joke.
Thing falls on him.
It feels like some fucking thing out of like a YouTube poop or something from like 7 years ago. Like, rocks fall and everyone dies, literally.
a big stone thing falls on him and he dies.
A big fucking rock falls on the main villain of Tales of Vesperia. You try telling somebody that sometime and see if they don't look at you like you just grew a second head, alright?
You have your big climactic battle, and then he's on his knees, and he summons the big thing to win, and then he dies.
And then they drop a rock on him. It's literally the D&D joke, rocks fall, everyone dies. That's it. It's
the best and the worst, because, like, he deserved to, like, die at someone's hand or
he
something.
Deserved to be the final boss, because Alexei is a genuinely threatening villain.
Yeah.
Because... Can I talk about it now? Because I'll never be salty. Yeah. I'll never stop being salty about this until I do. Because Alexei has the most broken motherfucking goddamn piece of shit mystic art in the entire fucking series. Who the fuck thought it was a good idea to let him use Brilliant Cataclysm without actually moving? The rule is, in Tales of Vesperia, you use a mystic art after an arcane art. That's the rule. You can't just magically go into using your mystic art while you're standing there scratching your asshole. Every other character in the fucking game follows that rule, except for fucking Alexei, who's just like, boy, the wind is blowing. How about I use Brilliant Cataclysm? Fuck you! Fuck Alexei! He deserved to be the main villain just so I could beat the shit out of him and end the game on that note. He didn't deserve to have a fucking rock dropped on him. I deserve to kill him. Yeah, I'm pissed off. Fuck Brilliant Cataclysm.
He can just do it whenever the hell he wants.
That's some old-fashioned bullshit is what it is. Eat my entire ass. Fuck you, Alexei, you motherfucker. Yeah, I'm fucking bitter. Who thought that was a good idea? You try playing that fucking Fight on Unknown and you come back to me. Tell me how you fucking feel after that shit. God damn it.
And there's no way to, like, know it's coming or to, like, cancel it out or prepare yourself. It's like, nope, it's Brilliant Cataclysm time.
No, yeah.
It's that image.
Meme. Good lord, look at the time!
Yeah, oh boy, look at the time. Well, there's our title card.
Oh yeah, good lord, look at the time. Brilliant Cataclysm.
There we go. I'm gonna whip that up, and there's our title card for this episode.
Oh my god, I'm so mad. Every time I think about it, because I'm just like, who the fuck thought that was a good idea? Fuck you. Fuck that guy. Fuck you, Alexei. I didn't deserve that shit. Fuck that guy.
I just, whatever. Again, like, it goes back to, like, you see Alexei and you're like, oh, there's our bad guy.
Yeah, for sure, right?
Like the minute he walks up, you're like, oh, there's our villain. Yep, there he is.
That's the bad guy. That is the bad guy. He looks like a bad guy. He's low-rent Sephiroth. Of course he's the bad guy.
It's that moment in Final Fantasy X where everyone had the same thought, where they see Seymour step off the boat, and you're like, there's our villain.
Yep, that's my final boss right there. And then they were like, JK, it's Duke. And at first I was kind of like, who? Wait.
You know what? You're not wrong.
Duke's the final boss. Wait.
Really?
Wait, who's Duke? Oh, that guy.
Oh, yeah, Duke's the guy who helped out all the time.
Yeah, that guy who's been nothing but helpful the entire game.
Like, Duke is like if Sephiroth, like, randomly gave Cloud the Masamune at some point.
Use it well. Like, come on. I don't understand who thought that was a good idea.
And, like, it ends up being, like, he's not even, like, the final boss. You just beat him up and he's like, oh, you're right.
Yeah, right? Like, it's not even
They're like, we're going through with our plan, and we'll knock you out so that we can do our plan, because you're being a little upstart about this.
Yeah, it's not even like he's like a real boss character. He's not, we were talking about this last night, he's Gaius 1.0, and for some reason, it makes me like him less. He's not
a threat like Van or Mythos was. He's like a stepping stone before the threat.
Yeah, exactly. And he's not like, you never really even get an idea of kind of what his principles are. Because like Gaius at the end of Exilia is the principled villain. He's kind of like the anti-villain, technically, I guess.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, this is what I believe in firmly, and what you believe in is completely counteractive to what I think, so there's only one way to solve this now. But Duke is just kind of like, my friend died, and I don't like people. Let's fight. Okay, sure, I guess.
They're like, okay.
Fine. And then you beat him up, and then, he has a cool mystic art that follows the fucking rules of mystic arts, unlike fucking Alexei.
He's got the best mystic art ever, because his mystic art is everyone's mystic art, and everyone in Vesperia has, like, the coolest mystic art.
Exactly. So. And hey, you know, his mystic art still follows the fucking rules of mystic arts. Alexei, you piece of shit, I'm coming for your ass. But, fucking whatever. Like, okay, here's, in my perfect world, Tales of Vesperia ends with, like, a weird, because, like, you never really ever get the sense that the Autophagos is kind of a thing. It's just like a weird thing in the sky.
You never see it.
Yeah, and you never really get an idea that it's actually threatening, because it never really ever destroys anything, right? It just kind of is there and is menacing. It's literally that line from SpongeBob. He's just standing there menacingly. That's
and now, you know what? Now I'm debating whether or not that'll be a title card, or I can get a title card of the sky and just Photoshop the JoJo menacing.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Because that's pretty much, I mean, that's all that's really going on. Like, it drops those little monster thingies on Nordopolica once, but it never does anything to Nordopolica.
We need them Autophagos to eat a town or something. Yeah,
to make it like there's no... See, that's the thing. All Tales games have that same trope of, oh man, a town got destroyed. It happened to Palma Costa. It happened in Exariuth, obviously. In Hamil, all of the population was killed off, so when you go there again, it's empty. That's a trope. That's a thing they do in Tales games, and they didn't do it for some reason.
They did do it. They did do it.
When?
Ospio.
Oh, yeah, but, I mean, it doesn't really have the same punch.
But that's not the Autophagos. The Autophagos should have done that, not Duke.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because, like, there's that part at the end of the game where some, like, little Autophagos spawn things attack Nordopolica.
Yeah.
And, but it doesn't do any damage, so you kind of feel like there's no real stakes, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, in a perfect world where Tales of Vesperia had a good third act, the real villain is, like, a weird, fucked up Autophagos-possessed Alexei.
Yeah.
You know? Like a weird, horrible monster Alexei, and that would have been your final boss, because it's like,
totally.
Hey, you're confronting two evils at the same time. You're confronting the ultimate evil of the universe that destroyed the last civilization, and you're also confronting that minor evil that's basically ruined the current party's lives, you know? Because everybody has kind of a hand in the Alexei problem, because Alexei is directly responsible for Don Whitehorse's death in kind of a roundabout way, because Jaeger is his lackey, and he's the one employing those Blastia that Judy hates, so she kind of has beef, so everybody kind of has a problem with Alexei.
Everyone gets one, but
exactly.
For Duke, it's not really anything, like, it's...
Yeah. And nobody really even knows Duke that well. Like, it's kind of implied that Raven knows him, but not really.
Yeah. Like they're like associates, but not really friends. It's so just weird. Very disappointing.
It was so lackluster. The whole third act of the game is just like, because the first two are so strong, and then the third act just kind of drops off, and you're like, oh man, come on. And whatever. But hey, first two acts of that game, if you stop playing Vesperia after the end of Act 2, and after you're sure that Yuri isn't dead, like he wakes up and the whole party is super happy to see him, if you turn the game off right then, wouldn't be a half bad game.
That's a pretty good story wrapped up there.
Game. Yeah, you know, it's like, what's that shit in the sky? It doesn't matter because it never does anything.
Alright, so we need to wrap this up.
Wow, we've been talking about Tales of Vesperia for 2 hours.
This is our longest podcast.
I did not think I could talk about a game more than Abyss, and yet here I am. Well, we're
going to talk more about Abyss,
yeah. You're right. Shit, never mind. Abyss is a two-parter.
There's a huge spider in my room right now. That's great. I'll kill that later.
Kill it.
There is one more thing I want to talk about before we wrap this up. We actually got a letter.
Really?
There's a quick comment about one of our podcasts in here. By the way, our email is thegorgepodcast@gmail.com. That's thegorgepodcast@gmail.com.
We've made it! We have a letter!
This comes from Dave, and he's talking about Overwatch, and he says, I think separating the story and gameplay of Overwatch is just lazy, not smart. They just couldn't be bothered to make their gameplay tell their story. Great games use their mechanics to tell the story. And I agree. Not about the Overwatch thing, but about in general that, like, yes, games that incorporate their mechanics into their story in a unique way are objectively preferable to not doing that at all.
Yeah, I feel that. Okay, yeah, for sure. I do think Sorry, Dave. I do think that splitting up the canon plot of Overwatch and the game is a really smart thing, because otherwise it would be really hard to justify the fact that Jack Morrison and Gabriel Reyes are fighting together on the same team without trying to kill each other. So it's probably a good idea that you keep those two plot lines.
They do it for that reason. In order to justify the game itself being played.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, they could do a better, like, if they would just incorporate a, story mode into the game, all would be well.
Oh my god, please give me a story mode, Blizzard. I'm dying.
But I'm trying to think of a really good example of this exact thing, of incorporating gameplay into story. Abyss, the friend or foe markers.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's a fantastic way of incorporating a gameplay mechanic into your story and making it relevant. And
that is really that was really smart to actually come up with a reason why you couldn't. I like it.
Blast people.
Yeah, I like it anytime a game actually, even if it's kind of a hand wavy thing. I like it anytime a game spends enough time to tell me why the main characters can't just cast all their fucking huge crazy magic in the middle of a city in like a big climactic moment where they're kind of being held at like knife point or whatever. And the fact that Abyss spent the 20 seconds it takes to tell you why is a great proof of like the world building of Abyss. And more games, all games should do that to kind of explain why the gameplay segments and the story segments have that divide going on. Even if it's just a little like throwaway hand wavy moment,
So for that letter, and again,
anytime.
That's the Gorge Podcast at gmail.com.
Yay!
You can also follow us on Twitter at the Gorge Podcast.
We have fan mail.
Special thanks to Broke for Free for use of our background music. Link to his work in the description as always.
The Twitter I always forget we have.
There.
Sorry. Whoops. Please, it'd be nice. Maybe I'll remember
so
we
that'll
have
be
it
it
then.
for us. We
Maybe
are
not.
either talking about Phoenix Wright or Deus Ex tomorrow or next week. We'll.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually need to keep playing
so
Deus Ex. It'll probably be Phoenix Wright.
So yeah, we'll talk about that next week.
Because I'm way more invested in that.
Right. Good night, everyone.